Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome on board. Welcome back. Bit of an impromptu stream, but things changed quickly, and we are now at the stage where in the next few hours PMDG are releasing their brand new or latest aircraft in the 737NG series for Microsoft Flight Simulator, namely that of the 737-900 and the 900ER. So a little bit of a celebration today, the longest in their series so to date, their newest aircraft I suppose as well as an add-on for the sim, and something that offers a little bit different sort of dynamic to your flights, extra little things that you need to think about, like the increased risk of tail strike, the ER having the ability to have auxiliary tanks added into them and all that sort of thing too, so all very exciting. And certainly also brings us that little bit closer to more new aircraft coming in the near future. 777, the Aerosoft A330, and all the rest as well. So, very exciting year ahead, kicked off by this, the 737-900. And we're doing a route that we did almost a year ago. Yeah, almost a year ago now, my God. Where we actually flew the 737-700 out of Amsterdam in a KLM livery down to Alicante as well. So a bit of a replica of the same trip, if you like, but with a slightly different aeroplane and one that is a lot longer as well. I've pinned in the live chat. This is a bit of a preview, if you like, pre-release preview. And as a reminder, from the PMDG forums, they've stated that the aircraft will be releasing sometime after 1800 Zulu on the 7th of February, being today, of course. Currently it's 1531 Zulu, so you can do the math. Basically, at least 2.5 hours or so to go until release. Pricing, we've got a few questions in the chat already. Pricing wise, they've said that they expect it to fall between the 737-600 and the 700-800 pricing range, which is quite promising. Really long jet, look at that. My goodness. 2.5 hours flight time. G'day to Ian, Yoep as well, being ground controller for today at Amsterdam. A couple of members in the chat. Ian saying, g'day, tried to stay up, being the other side of the world, but sleep got the better of you, no problem at all. Yeah, it's super early in the morning for you guys in Australia, New Zealand, and that side of the world at the moment. As you're saying there, have a great flight, thank you, and hopefully when you're watching this back tomorrow morning, Australia time, you'll be enjoying the replay, and as you say, enjoy what you see and decide to make a sneaky purchase if it's what you like. Coyote's saying not seeing it on the PMDG website just yet. That's because it's not yet being released, as we've said in the live chat already, just to kind of mop up a few points prior to the stream starting so far, and I'm trying to catch up on the live chat already. Eves was asking about the app, the wheel that we've been showing on a number of live streams recently, and that's called Flow Pro by Parallel 42. It's available on Orbex. I think maybe Sim Market as well, I'm not sure, but I purchased it via Orbex Direct, and it gives us that controls visualizer. So on takeoff, certainly rotation in this, you'll be able to see the control inputs I'm making for my first ever flight, first ever takeoff and landing in the 737-900. Samuel, yeah, the 900ER is a bit heavier than the 900. It depends on the fuel on board and all that as well. Rab, Yoep, Mark, David, welcome guys. Alberto, good morning to you in Chile. A little bit less early than usual, isn't it? Saying good afternoon there. Mark as well saying we need bigger jets, Boeing. Okay, we'll lead to the 737 again. That's pretty much the strategy. It just keeps getting longer and longer and longer. Absolutely. The commentator, welcome to you as well, and Brian, Samuel, Carlito, Peter, Joey Goofy, Ron van der Sar, and David, welcome. A couple of questions as well in relation to what's the range of the aircraft. That's a very good question actually, but I'm probably going to turn myself to Uncle Google for that to make sure that I kind of get it right. What do we got here? Variants. So the 900 was introduced, it was an even longer variant stretched to 138 feet 2 inches or 42 meters. It retains the same exit configuration of the 737-800. Seating capacity is therefore limited to 189. But sometimes, like this one today, you've got 2-class layout, approximately 177 passengers. It's got the same maximum takeoff weight and fuel capacity of the 800, trading range for payload. And then the 900ER was released. What have we got? Where's the range data? That's what we want to see, isn't it? Here we go. So, range of the 900. Interestingly, yeah, because it's the same range. So, 2,935 nautical miles, or 5,436 kilometers for the 900. And the ER stretches a tiny little bit further, actually. 2,950 nautical miles, according to Wikipedia. But, who knows? I haven't, Alberto, no. Now, one thing that I kind of stayed on this drone camera view, if you like, for now, because if you look at the length of the rear fuselage, if we get towards takeoff, so, I don't know, say the very bottom of your screen, there's the wheels, that is us hurtling down the runway, and we start to rotate, already just only a few degrees, if we keep those wheels in line, look how close we get to that tail strike. It's only a few degrees in it. So it means we're going to have to rotate even more gently than we otherwise would in the 800 as well. But it looks fantastic, doesn't it? Lots of liveries included for the start. This is the release build, Brian, from what I understand, yes. Yeah, really, really grateful again, as always, to the folks at PMDG for sending us the preview copy. It's really nice to sort of, well, show you guys what is about to release. It's really nice. It's yeah, I'm honoured. Really appreciate it. And I hope you guys find it useful. Doorman, welcome. Flytim Sim, David G, welcome guys. Cornelius, hope you guys are all well as well. A little bit different. Brian, welcome. We're going to dive in cold and dark, because it's been a little while since. One thing we can do before we think about diving in and actually dealing with the flight deck things is talk about custom views. You can punch through the flight deck door and you can walk on down the cabin, setting up the camera, relevant points in the window, so that you can set those custom views up nicely. And we've set a few for today. Toby, it's not yet on Xbox, no. I know PMDG are trying to work on it. They're trying to get it into the Microsoft Flight Simulator store, the marketplace. I think from memory, let me just check their forums. Not quite sure where it would be. But in effect, they've said that they've sent a build, I think, for the 737-700 across to Asobo to implement. These are the rear of the very back of the aircraft. So let's just zoom out to the aisle again. We'll go right to the back so you can see how long this jet is. There we go. So many rows. Violet Stirred, Brandon, welcome. Hope you're well. Ellis, hello to you. Okay, let's bring some power to the jet, shall we? Couple of things preset already. We've got the Navigraph stuff installed, manually installed into the aircraft, because we are still waiting for Navigraph to bring it all on board. Might as well do this while we're here. 37,000 feet for cruise. And we'll pop the aft fuel pump on as well for good measure. Right, where are we? So we're there in align mode. We've got to wait for power to be on for a little while before we can start worrying about tests and warnings and things. That's all good. We've got the Luke Air Tool today powering our announcements again, as always. Patrick, I'm not sure, to be honest, buddy. We have got our good friend Yoep as ground controller for today, so we could actually tune in to him now, 1218. Like so. He said we have to bring Stroopwafel to the file our flight plan, otherwise we aren't going to be cleared. We're at EHAM, Echo Hotel Alpha Mike for Amsterdam, and we're on gate Bravo 20. So all of this is very familiar. It's all the same effectively as we would see in the 737-800. Jay, anytime after 1800 UTC today, so less than 2.5 hours before basically the penciled in start time for predicted release. LEAL. When we get to the other side as well, oops, wrong button, we have got the fantastic freeware created by Hergy1234, also a member of our community. He's been making some wonderful airports recently, and he's just updated Alicante with an absolute whopper. David saying, I've only got the 700, but still not sure I need a second one. The 700's great. It depends if you want something a little bit longer and a little bit more tricky. 49 Mike. But I've not test flown this yet. This is going to be literally first flight in the jets. Harnessing stuff that I've kind of learned over the 700, 600 and the 800 variants.
Good afternoon from KLM 5
Brian says, I often wonder if a real 737's control surfaces would go down like the A320 before hydraulics are pressurised. No. So whenever I see them all parked up at Heathrow, it's an interesting question actually. Even the KLM ones, they're always usually, well, as it is currently. Right, Woody, Medal, Covin, Wesley, Disac. What we can do as well is fire up GSX.
This parking is too small for your aircraft.
Of course it is. When is it not? Let's request boarding. Ron, indeed. My favourite hatch in the world, as we all know from that ill-fated the Just Flight 146 stream to Vega. It's in the pins thing, so anytime after 1800 Zulu today.
Easy, what to send the uniform?
So we go to the FMS page for fuel here, looking at Simbrief, it's saying 9,160 kilos of fuel.
Did you receive a prepare from us, just to confirm?
Payload wise?
Easy 12 Tango from Mayfair, I've just received your flight plan. Okay, we will protect you should for us clear, it's right.
Zero fuel weight, 65.2. We are full.
If you want to Tango from, sorry, that was unclear. Are you requesting ISR clearance or not yet? Not yet, not yet.
64.
Do you want to board crew?
We'll just get on with the passengers, shall we? Now that's amber, because we're getting heavy. 64.5. I still reckon 65.2.
Thanks for previewing this.
Brian, thank you, buddy. You're very welcome. Load level 104.2 kilos. Percent. Maybe we throw a couple of first class passengers out and we will drop this a little bit. So 3,000.
Passengers boarding started.
That looks a bit safer, doesn't it? Cool. So we're basically whacking it up as heavy as we can get it. So fuel's done, payload's done. That's going to change my data slightly. So zero fuel weight, just make a note of this. At 63.3 gross weight. 72.5, maximum takeoff weight 79.2, takeoff center of gravity 23 points. The heck was that? Oh, it's GSX with the floating people. In fairness, there isn't a GSX thing yet, just for the time being. Christopher, hello, saying nice grimy floor. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little bit worn there, isn't it? It's quite nice. A little bit of wear and tear at the base of the sticks as well, the yokes. But otherwise, quite clean looking, in fairness. Mathis, we're about to find out the answer to that question. We haven't flown it yet. I'm going to have a concussion before we depart with the amount of people walking on my head. Yeah. Let's see what happens if we go to 12 here. 99.2. That'll do. 28, 25. Let's add 25 kilos. 27, 25. Tickling it up. 27.50. 28.50. That will do. So 63.6, 72.7. James, we're going to do a derated takeoff, buddy. According to the performance calculations of VAS Airplane Toolbox, once again. Where were we? So we're going to go back into here. That's all set. We want to do the perf init page. Gross weight was 72.7. Systems-wise, Ilias, nothing. They are nice and common, nice and similar.
Keep all ground, KLM 58 Hotel. We cater runway 18 right via Victor 1.
Block fuel 9.1, fin res plus alternate reserve fuel 22.28, so 2.2 tons. Cost index of 7 apparently. That's very slow, isn't it?
In a few moments we will be explaining the flight safety procedures on board. We wish you a pleasant flight.
Transition altitude in Amsterdam, I think is 3,000 from memory. So we'll review the chart shortly. And our average winds for today in cruise, looking at 084 at 28. With our performance calculations, planned landing weight, takeoff weight 74, going to be 73 instead. So we're taking a ton off the planned weight initially. So it wants takeoff profile 1 with a D rate of plus 44 and flap 5 for takeoff. And it reckons VREF around 146 knots, so who knows, with an assumed temperature of 44 degrees. So takeoff 1, we'll go for climb 2, 24 kn 1 at 88.9. Happy days. EHAM, so we've got 150 at 7 for winds. Dry, 1,000. Flap 5. 5.42 for the takeoff trim. Up here we need to pop the yaw damper on. There's a lot to do on this, that's why I love it so much. And I reckon we can pop the APU on as well while we're up here.
London Gatwick, Volco 3 Sierra departure, runway 24.
So,
Initial climb
let's catch up very briefly on the live chat. Appreciate you guys are chatting away. The DC6 hacks is better. We were actually going to be doing a DC6 stream very soon, to be fair.
This requires level 60, score code 6262 if you want to
Dylan says, curious if there's a tail stand option under ground services. We're required to use these in real life when unloading front and back to prevent a tail strike. I don't know actually. Let's have a look. I don't recall seeing it in there. Air conditioning, maintenance van, lavatory, potable water. There you go. The answer's no. Ram, very nice. Dad flew into Alicante on Monday. Good afternoon, Holland Plane spotting as well. This is the Luke Air tool. The link is in the description for you, as Albert is saying there. It's freeware. It's very nice.
Triple ground for spray 69 Charlie November at gate E24. Information was available.
Yep, sent us a private message saying load sheet received by tower. Extra stroop waffle have been dispatched by catering. Load approved for clearance.
Just be advised, call sign for the Osprey virtual airline is Bravo Victor X-ray. You're currently logged in as Oscar Bravo X-ray.
And we've got QNH 1039er. There's no ATIS, so we could pop that in the box anyway. 1039er. Very high pressure across all of Europe at the moment, to be fair.
Bravo Victor.
Stick that on as well. And then up here, without getting too dizzy or getting a neck crick, we can pop the APU gens on. Check the power output, and then we'll just keep an eye before we think about putting the APU bleed on. We need to pop the landing altitude to 0 because that's the elevation here at Amsterdam, because it's I think -5 feet below actual sea level, I think. Okay. So before we go further, let's get our clearance from EOA as ground.
Delta 22 at Whiskey 5, cross runway 18 center.
Badger, sorry to hear that, buddy. Do you know what could be causing that for you? Or? Suitman, that's a good question. But then the query there would be, which configuration? Because I'd like to see the A380 fly-by-wire have a British Airways layout. Amsterdam ground, good afternoon. KLM 49 Mike is on Bravo 20, Boeing 737-900 with QNH 1039. Request IFR clearance to Alicante.
California Micro Schiphol ground, very good afternoon, cleared Alicante, Cuda 3 Sierra departure, runway 24, initial climb flight level 60, squawk 2101.
Clear to Alicante, runway 24, Kudas 3 Sierra departure, initial climb flight level 60, squawk 2101, KLM 49 Mike.
KLM 49 Mike, readback is correct, report fully ready.
We'll go. Just going to snack on a stroop waffle first. So, we've got our departure clearance, which means that we can commit now to runway 24, as the controllers told us, and the Kudas 3 Sierra departure, which is that one there. We can add that in, and we had that initial climb given to us of flight level 60, so we'll put that in the MCP.
Ground, easy Monty Tango uniform.
Like so. And that will then mean that we can along through our FMS to get our V speeds. Look at that, V2 158 on 68.
Yeah, that was, yeah, I changed my call sign, sorry.
So we'd expect this to be, being a few meters longer and a few kilograms heavier, we would expect this to fly the approach a bit faster when we get to the other side as well.
Flight level 60, squawk 6261.
London Gatwick via the Valkyrie 3 Sierra departure.
That's the one, the Luke Air tool. Let's see. Parking brake is on.
Victor Alpha, readback is correct, report fully ready.
APU could go on bleed. That's all good. Let's remove the chocks. And let's brief the departure. There's a lot to do pre-flight, isn't there? That's the Amsterdam departure we're doing, but to begin with, we are here. We're going to push and start on taxiway Alpha 3 from gate Bravo 20, facing south. We'll probably be taxiing Alpha 3, Bravo to Sierra 7 Echo for a departure on runway 24, which is this one here. Nice long runway for us today. On to the Kudad 3 Sierra departure. So after takeoff, Alpha Mike 005 will commit then to a left turn maximum for 220 knots, so 152 degrees outbound away from Amsterdam Schiphol, climbing up all the way to flight level 60 by Woody. But that is the initial climb clearance, so being on Unicom, we're most likely to get to near to 6,000, then we'll work to continue climb above at that point.
Easy 42 Victor Alpha, no information available, QNH 1039er, pushback and start approved.
Pushback for QNH 1039er, yeah.
Our routing is going to take us south. Pass a few familiar airports, Brussels as well being one of those. Overhead Paris Charles de Gaulle, and I think Orly as well. Yes, there's Orly just there. Before then heading south towards the Pyrenees over Bourges, Evpoc, Aneto, and then descending down the east coast of Spain over Valencia down into Alicante, where currently with the weather we're expecting ILS Zulu 10 via the Valencia 3 Lima arrival. But things can change, we'll monitor that as we go. That is our routing for today. We'll keep the charts up ready for us. It's an RNAV departure, so we don't need to worry about tuning in any VORs, but there is one at Sierra Papa Lima, 108.4. So we will tune that anyway, just for good measure. Like so. Runway heading is 237. If you're new to the channel, tuning in for the first time, welcome on board. I hope you're enjoying the stream so far and enjoying the rest of what's to come as well. Do consider hitting that subscribe button down below. The commentator, welcome. Let's pop these flight directors on. We are almost ready. We have got custom views ready. Yes, Brian. Thanks, Rap. Popping in the METAR for Alicante. It's going to be a great 2023, Max. Absolutely. Not sure about the 3 months to the 777 though. I don't know how long that's going to take. Naturally, PMDG won't release it until it's ready. Okay, so that's done. We'll look at recalculating the cost index in cruise to see if we can squeeze a bit more speed out. We want route data with the winds. Jan says, what is the circle with the white line? Where are you looking, buddy? Is it that? Or is it something else? Or this? Your damper gauge. So I actually saw on an image of this real aircraft, so I kind of researched PHBXS before we began today, and I noticed it had a yaw damper fitted and the refreshed or updated electronic artificial standby horizon, but with the old school compass below it. So I've tried to configure the aeroplane to look like it would in real life as closely as possible. Cruise 370. We'll worry about that shortly, and we're happy with the legs as well.
KLM 920, confirm flight to cross runway 180.
We need to pop our transponder squawk code in the box to 101.
Always automatically contain the crossing clearance for 180.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Tug operator's ready to go already. My goodness.
Correction 920.
So, GSX.
This parking is too small for your aircraft.
Prepare for pushback. Do you want to request pushback? Ideally. Thought that's what it meant. Hey ho. Gonna quickly whistle through my checklist. APU's all good. Packs off, isolation valves open, APU bleed is on, they're all good and set. Let's pop the probe heat on for now as well, just to save us worrying about that shortly. Got any fuel in the centre tanks? We have 1.36 tonnes. We'll pop the anti-collision light on.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Yeah, nice. Hello, Sandwell. I've got the Turtle Beach Velocity 1 flight yoke. So it's just electrics, hydraulics and overheads, that's fine. Skip all ground to KLM 49 Mike is fully ready, request push start, stand Bravo 20.
KLM 49 Mike, roger, just for my sake, confirm you have received the access to waffles from catering.
A firm, many stroopwafel.
KLM 49 Mike, excellent, excellent. Noise information available, QNH 1039, pushback and start.
Locking gear.
Push start approved, KLM 49 Mike, thanks.
Skip a ground.
All the stroopwafel. Okay. Let's hide the music. DJ. And let's think about starting the engine. So we're waiting for the announcement to release the brakes. We'll go from there. One thing I'm probably expecting is just to be a slight difference in sound from the 737-800. Ignition mode both. It always says that, but then it doesn't want us to de-ice. So ignition mode ground, engine 2.
Ryanair 447 radio check.
Ryanair 447, couple ground, very good afternoon, readability 5.
Thanks, good afternoon, Ryanair 447.
Watching the N2 rise, over 20 lad fuel. Fuel control lever 2 to run.
KLM 92 Zulu, it's always the standard taxi routing, so you're going to Delta 22, so you will taxi via Delta and Alpha.
And we've got the KLM safety demonstration today as well. We have to excuse some of the weird bits, that's just GSX being its thing. And a custom GSX profile as well with the tugs of choice. So. TR leads, I think you were asking a question over a little earlier on. I'm trying to find your question actually, may have missed it. Which aircraft are better, fly-by-wire A320nx or the 737-700? They're both very, very good. What are you gaining from the 800 apart from length, Captain Ray says?
Fly level 60, walk 1000.
For the ER, slightly extended range. And being a slightly longer fuselage, just a little bit more of a challenging dynamic with takeoff and landing as well, that sort of thing. For those of you like real-world ops, there's plenty of US ops in the 900 and 900 ER too. Oh, the wrong side of the road, yo. Let's get the safety demonstration started because we're going to be a little while. It's a very short taxi.
While we are in the middle of this authentic Royal Delft pottery, we would like to explain the safety information on board your KLM
Triple ground, EV3014.
Go for flat 5. See what we got here for custom views. There we go.
EV3014, triple ground, very good afternoon, taxi, stand hotel 4, 55, cross runway 18 center.
Small electronic devices may be used.
Yeah, I'm using the default 737-900 sim brief profile today.
After you have selected airplane mode, feel free to turn on Bluetooth. Please make sure the device is visible at all times while charging. Charging of electronic devices is not allowed during taxiing, takeoff and landing. If you lose your electronic device in your seat, please do not adjust your seat but call it.
Let's have a look at some of these animations as well for the rudders.
This could be, for instance, a hot device
and the elevators.
Smoke or show signs of damage. Without hesitation, unplug the device from charging and also alert a crew member. Larger devices, such as
looking
laptops,
good.
should
Pop
be
that on
stowed
for now as
before
well.
Taxi, takeoff and landing, either in an overhead bin
That's looking
or in a bag
fine. Let's
under
turn
the
the
seat
APU
in
bleed
front
off.
of you. Once the fasten seatbelt sign is off,
Both already on
you may use these
automatic.
devices
Check
when
power
set to
output for
airplane mode.
APU. Well, sorry,
This
Gen
is
1
a
and Gen 2 as
non-smoking
well.
flight. This means smoking on board the aircraft is not allowed. This
APU
includes
off.
the use of electronic cigarettes. Whenever the seatbelt sign is on, your seatbelt must be fastened. For your own
LM4 Nano Mike,
safety,
request
keep
taxi.
your seatbelt fastened and visible
LM4 Nano
during
Mike,
flight,
select point
even
Sierra
when the
7,
seatbelt
runway
sign is
24
switched
by
off.
Alpha 3.
To release the seatbelt, just lift the buckle. If there's a sudden decrease
Taxi
in
Sierra
cabin
7,
pressure,
runway
the
24
oxygen
by
mask will
Alpha
drop
3, KLM4
automatically
Nano
in
Mike.
front of you. Pull the mask towards you to start the flow of oxygen.
Runner
Place the mask
447
over
and
your
Bravo
nose and mouth and
93
breathe
report
normally.
type departure
Make sure
to
your own mask is well adjusted before
OG, so it depends. There is an auto ignition, so you could just let it be, instead of off and continuous being options, there'd be one that just says auto. That's might be what you're thinking about as well.
Place it over your head and
Yeah, make sure all your electronic devices are on flight mode, folks. Don't forget to smash the like button before takeoff as well.
Initial climb 560, squawk 6274, Ryanair 667.
will automatically switch on the lights.
There's an option down here.
Emergency exits are located on each side of the cabin. At
Let's
the
use this
front,
one.
in the center, and at the rear. In the unlikely
PMDG
event
aircraft
of an
equipment.
emergency evacuation, follow the illuminated escape path. Leave all your carry-on luggage behind and follow the instructions of the crew. Please take a moment now to locate the nearest emergency exit. Be aware, the exit may be behind you. It's almost time for the final cabin check. Please make sure that your
Auto
tray
ignition.
table
So if
and
we selected
radio
yes
screen
to
have
that,
been stowed away,
then what
that
we
the
would
back of your
get
seat in the
is,
upright position, and
instead
that
of
your
off and
headrest
cont,
has
it
been
would just
pushed
say
down.
auto.
Make sure electronic devices are disconnected from the onboard
Simavgi,
power
welcome on board.
supply. We encourage everyone to read the safety on board card located near your seat. At KLM Royal Dutch Airlines, we care about
Brazy
every little
food
detail of
caterers.
your flight safety. If you have any questions, our cabin crew is here to help you. Thank you for your attention. On behalf of
I'm used to the
KLM
habit of
Royal
putting
Dutch
them onto
Airlines,
continuous,
we wish you
OG.
a very pleasant flight.
That's why. As always, loads of options in the FMS as well, so you can tweak the aircraft to how you like it to be as well. So if you like to have auto probe heat, for example, activated, or you like to have some other features, as David's saying as well, certain liveries come with different options already predefined and set. You can configure it as you like effectively, and then also set up your own custom profile so that when you load in, it's for example cold and dark. You can tweak a few things and save it so that you end up with that state at all times when you load in. Nice way to start. Ah, good stuff. Luke from Luke Airtool says hello. He's Simavgeek's good friend. Jolly good. Yeah, it's a cool looking jet, isn't it? Look at that. Very big. That's the safety demo done as well, which means that all we need to do now is think about departure. Rab says, looks like too much work, might have to brave it. Go for it. I've got a whole lot of PMDG 737 tutorials that you can dig your way through and explore, and that will help you learn the jet in no time, basically. It's based on the 737-700, but all the principles apply. Yeah, we've got sunblinds. Where is it? There we go. Look at that. Lovely. We might need that shortly. It's very bright.
We're actually on the right-hand side, so normally you would have taken Delta. That's no problem now. Continue and go left on Alpha next.
Sierra 7. Sounds like somebody's having a detour somewhere. Yeah, you know what they say, the bigger the better.
Continuing left on Alpha. Sorry for that.
Okay, traffic mode on. Let's pop TCAS on. Let's get 1228 ready to go for a Unicom frequency for our departure.
100 mic, no further AT available. Monitor Unicom 122 decimal 8.
Monitor Unicom 1228 for KLM 49 mic. Cheers, Joe.
Have a fun flight.
Thanks for the Stroop Waffle. LNAV, VNAV, auto thrust. Let's pop those on as well. Let's get the postal lights to strobe and steady. That's looking fine. We're going to do a quick master caution test. Laps 5 and green. We're looking good for departure. Skip all traffic. KLM 49 mic is lining up runway 24. So we're heading up that direction, so we've got the benefit of being able to see that we are not going to clash with anybody, getting anybody's way. fuel flow, reset rate, and let's clear that bottom screen too. We'll pop the control visualizer on at the bottom so you can see at the bottom left of the screens the inputs for departure. You'll notice in comparison to when we fly, say, the 600 or the 700. My goodness, that is bright.
Ryanair 447 is fully ready and request push and start.
Ryanair 447, no, it's in.
Steve Shaw, hello buddy. Thank you very much. Looking forward to your paints. Wow, that is properly bright. Let's see. Can't remember. There we go. Always do that. We're going to need that. And I reckon for the right turn, we might need those popped up as well. And first officer, bless him, he forgot his sunglasses too. God, the mess. Right, light signs, everything's good. Shall we go? Skip old traffic KLM49 Mike is taking off runway 24, Kudas 3 Sierra departure. Okay, 40%. Brakes are off. It's forwards on the stick to get a bit of pressure on the nose wheel. Toga. We've got the call outs from PMDG as well.
Airspeed alive.
There we are. Notice it's a bit quieter, being a bit further away from the engines.
3 knots.
We are heavy with the D-ray.
Keep on traffic, easy 12 Tango uniform is lining up runway 24.
Bit of a kink there with the crosswind slightly. Gear up, positive rate call. Quick bit of fiddly trim. And CMDA engage. Shellnav and VNav are both active, so happy days, we're away. What's that scraping sound? You know what? The biggest fear there was actually getting a tail strike. We got away with it, didn't we? Pop those off, that's fine. Runway turn-off lights are off. 1,200 and climbing away. Through flaps 1, let's clear the control visualizer. Doesn't help you guys. Now we've got autopilot enabled. Here we are, airborne. For the first time in the 737-900. It does look cool, doesn't it? Being that slight little bit longer, it just looks very, very cool indeed. And weirdly enough, I was crazily fearful of getting a tail strike during that takeoff. It's crazy. It's max speed of 220. The VNav's holding that beautifully at the moment. Escapable traffic, KLM49 Mike is airborne 2,200 feet for 6,000 Kudas 3 Sierra. So, auto brake is off, gear lever is set to off, flaps up and no lights, runway turn-off lights are off, engine start switches are off, flaps have been retracted anyway, we just talked about that. Cabin pressure is the next thing on the checklist. Not that button, that button. But it just did remind me to close QATL. And we'll keep it going. I'll set 16,000 for now. in lieu of any ATC. Let's go to standard pressure. Look at that pressure difference there. Huge. Yeah, but it's always the way. Yeah, and you can fly any route you want. Let's keep the heading bug rotating as well. There we go, Steve there. Steve's part of the team at PMDG, makes wonderful liveries, and I think, am I right in saying beta tester as well, Steve? Might be wrong. Do forgive me if I've got that slightly incorrect. Steve's made a lot of wonderful paints for PMDG's aircraft in MSFS, so we've enjoyed various streams in the past and continue to do so as well. I'm saying you have to coax her into the air, just get it up and let it climb shallowly for a second, then rotate a little bit more. Steve's saying he had 2 tail strikes when I beta tested her, had to learn how to lift her off. Yeah, so as we went on that departure there, that little fear of getting that tail strike being a little bit longer, we just went for a very smooth, very shallow rotate. And then once we started to move away from the runway, started to clear that ground and climb away slightly, we just extend that pitch a little bit more and climb up. Harry, welcome on board. Thanks for subscribing, buddy. Maximada, can someone tell me what the procedure is if you lose all comms on a flight? Depends where you are and what's happening, really. And whether you're general aviation or if you're in an airliner, all that sort of thing. Cindy Golf, no, you're not too late, buddy. Makes all the difference, doesn't it, having that sun visor there, kind of taking out the sheer brightness of that sun. I mean, look at that. Mark says, why do you get these tips pop up on the screen? Because Mark doesn't. So we've got landing rate monitor fired up, and that gives us our touchdown rating on the screen when we touch down. For you guys that watch regularly, you know what I mean. And because of that, we need software tooltips enabled. Now the issue we have there is if we disable that to get rid of those weird notification pop-ups about landmarks being nearby and all that sort of thing, then it also gets rid of that landing rate, which we don't want. MPS Gaming, it's a known thing. Basically for that, if you're getting the IRS faults, what you want to do is just head in here and you want to reselect another gate, another state, sorry, another state. Landing lights.
Dames en heren, we klippen nu naar onze kruising. Zodra zal het zijn voor die vast uitgeschakeld worden. Zodra de gezagvoerder dit doet, bent u vrij.
Tracking the flight on Volanta as well, and any screenshots we take today will, of course, as always, be popped onto Volanta and onto our Discord server as well. There we go. Let's pop that over there. Yeah, so that's, as Steve is saying there, if you're in one of these, or in any aircraft actually, to be fair, one of the first actions, if it's just a radio failure and you've gone through a load of stuff, is to change your transponder code to 7600. And I was always taught 75 taken alive, 7500 being the transponder code for unlawful interference, to put it politely, I suppose. 76 radio sticks, your radios are broken. 77 going to heaven. 76 being 7600, 77 going to heaven being 7700. All Unicom for the time being, James, except for Yoep on ground there at Amsterdam. OG, the only aircraft I've flown in real life is PA-28. And then I ran out of money, so I couldn't finish my PPL. But yeah, transponder codes, 75 taken alive, 76 radio sticks, 77 going to heaven. Well, Christopher's heard 76 technical glitch. Jakob, welcome, welcome. There's Woody, so then we're on our way after that, but we're climbing away through to 16,000. Let's keep it climbing. Cruise of flight level 370 today. It's up there in the pressurization box, and we should actually just double check to make sure the cabin is pressurizing properly. PMDG simulate all of this, as you guys know. You're flying their aircraft already, various different variants. So we can see the aeroplane's pressurizing itself nicely there for our cruise today. Let's keep it going. Let's go all the way to 37. Jakob, have a look at the pinned message, buddy. So Robert Randazzo of PMDG fame has said on the forums over the last few days, 3rd of February, in the latest forum post about the 737-900. I'll read it out for you because I have got it on my other screen at the moment. They say, so this is from the 3rd of February. We've given what we hope to be the final beta for the 737-900 to our testing team. Unless something really horrific is discovered, we are planning to release her sometime after 1800 Zulu on the 7th of February 2023. So 1800 Zulu is 1800 UK time currently in the winter, or 1800 UTC, 1800 GMT. And then depending on where you are in the world, you just need to work out your time zone difference and what that then means in your local time. They've said that pricing is expected to land between the 600 and the 700-800 variants, with the final pricing being announced at release times. They haven't yet confirmed it, they've just said they expect it to be priced between the 600, which is about 30 quid, incredible value, really good fun as well, and the 700-800 versions. And the package includes both the 737-900 and the 900ER with both blended winglets that we're using today, and the split scimitars, which look epic. Always good. And then at the very bottom it says, PMDG 777, work continues apace. We're not currently planning to show anything here until well after the 900 is on the market, but that day is creeping closer. Very exciting. That, I'm sure you guys agree. Really looking forward to that. There's no Universal Flight Tablet or EFB yet, Tino. They're still working on that, buddy. Ron says, I have in the 737 an aircon fault and it won't be pressurised. How come? Fuel master caution. That's because we have now emptied the centre tanks. Just action that and we'll check once again to make sure that has been solved. Yeah, so Ron, depends really what the situation is. One thing with aircraft like this, let me just try and get it up on the screen for you guys. Window capture. One thing I always recommend, you can download this on flightsim.to. It's the checklist I've created for all of the NG series, effectively a bit of a summarised checklist covering pre-flight all the way through to engine start, takeoff, approach, landing and shutdown over just 2 pages. Nice, short, sweet, easy way to learn the jet. But I also recommend always having open at the side of your thing, on another screen or on your phone or something, a quick reference handbook, a QRH. So if something goes wrong, you can find the fault. Rapid depressurization being one, perhaps, for cabin altitude, master warning, and you can work through the emergency checklist. And that will not only help problem solve, but it will also help you deal with what's happening to then be able to continue your flight safely, basically. And there's loads. This is 402 pages of information and checklists and things. So well worth downloading one of those. All you've got to do for that is just Google Boeing 737 QRH and you'll find various on the internet for you to download by PDFs. Night Shepherd, good morning to you, buddy. 3:30 AM for you in Australia at the moment, still streaming. How's the 900? So far, really nice. There she is in all her glory. We're flying a heavy today. We've used a lot of the runway at Amsterdam as well, with a slight derate on the takeoff. Very gentle rotate. Deeper Dolphin, I did see the fly-by-wire video yesterday of the A32NX. Still not really in flight though, so there's lots to be done before they even think about anything like that. I think that's still a very, very, very long way off still, to be totally honest with you guys. But I did share it on the community post on the channel. Got to try and keep you guys updated with all that, of course. David saying the 777 from PMDG is a take my money now aircraft. Look at that. Look how long the rear fuselage is. Servers are still a bit icky. When we spawned in initially for today's flight, I got disconnected from the photogrammetry, which is a bit weird. David, yeah, the A380 did sound really good on the takeoff roll at the end of yesterday's video, as you're saying. Boris is the magic sound man at Fly-by-Wire, is actually in our Discord server, and he said that their old sounds that he's actually improved, so we can look forward to even more immersive A380 sounds in the near future. Oh, look at that, contrails have begun. You're saying that the old PMDG QRH can still be found online, but they can't publish it anymore for licensing reasons, allegedly. Interesting. Steve pointing out a good point there. The KLM 737 that we're using today is not the ER variant, so there's no extra door plug that you see on the 900ER. When we get to Alicante though, folks, what we'll do, if you want to see it, we'll load in the 900ER as well, so you can see the difference between the two. There's not really very much noticeable difference, but there's a couple of tweaks, things that you could bear in mind. There's the contrails, look at that. Patrick, yeah, that's just a problem, I think, sadly, with MSFS. Tom, it's about 10 knots faster, 5 to 10 knots faster, but it all depends on your loads. And the variant as well, whether it's the ER or just the 900. The sun's over there. Sim Eric, welcome. Steve Draw said I did a few flat 10 takeoffs when the V1 got too high with the normal flat 5. Yeah, we were on the cusp of that today, to be fair. One thing I will be doing in the near future, don't quote me on it being anytime soon, but what I want to do is fly into and out of Skiathos with this. I would imagine it's going to be extremely challenging, and therefore incredibly good fun as well. Will's up earlier on saying that he left Alicante a couple of days ago in the longitude, cool airport to fly into and out of, especially now it's been updated for sure. Steve saying, sadly I won't have any 900 paints because he's too busy on another paint project. Is it a really long paint project by any chance? Perhaps with 3 or 4 doors either side of the jet, maybe? Granny Smith earlier on saying thanks for the stream, great to see the 900 and the 900ER. Any add-ons for Schiphol or just vanilla Asobo one? Looks pretty good. Yes, good question. So on flightsim.to there's 2 that we've downloaded. There is a brick by brick designs Amsterdam enhancement, and then also another one on top of that called an enhancement EHAM, which builds on that even more and tries to get accurate ground markings and all that sort of stuff added in too. MPS Gaming saying, I hope the PMDG servers don't get overloaded because I need this aircraft ASAP. Yeah, not too long to wait now. If They said that it's going to be sometime after 1800 Zulu. So very exciting, but only a couple of hours left before you guys can hit the buy button. James Johnson's still waiting for a Learjet in the sim too. James, I'm not flying the British Airways livery, no. KLM, KLM. Ooh, may not even be PMDG, Steve says. Interesting, very exciting. What could it be? We are working on an Osprey Airways 737-900 pack, folks, as well. So we're looking at creating one for the 900 and the 900ER for Osprey Airways, our little virtual airline. Wheels Up's waiting patiently for the 737 MAX. Joey says, which airline is operating the 900 to Skiathos? Osprey. Osprey is. There's a question actually I don't know the answer to. I don't know if anybody does operate the 900 to Skiathos actually, to be honest. I'm sure you guys might be able to find out while we're flying along. There's New Bricks, aka Brick by Brick Designs. Good to see your Amsterdam scenery still being used and still working nicely, buddy. Gibraltar could be good, MPS Gaming, but rumour has it they still haven't recovered your aircraft left in the sea from the last time we flew in. Oh dear. TGN asking, will the 777 get more spotlight time now the 737s are finally out of the way? But don't forget the MAX. The PMDG have said that they are looking to work on the MAX as well. But I would like to think next being most likely the 777, we're going to start seeing trickles of information and screenshots and bits of content coming from the PMDG team. So the best place for that, as always, the PMDG forums. That's the best place you can find out all the information, including where we got all the information today about its release and all that sort of stuff. So that's here, forum.pmdg.com. So you can scroll through and have a look at all of the different topics. Whenever they update packages inside the operation center for various products, including the 737-900, it will be announced in here. So in the general discussion, news and announcements section, you get all of this information. There's loads, and there's a big wide discussion about various things too, including people excited trying to persuade PMDG to do a 767, which would be good. Brian says, if I buy this, it's merely to support further PMDG development. And that's the thing, isn't it, as well? Part of the purchase of these add-ons allow companies like PMDG to develop their next load of products as well, which is really exciting. Ram, yeah, we're looking forward to that Just Fly Avro RJ. We're looking forward to their Fokker Fellowship as well at some point. Shouldn't be icing up, Peter, no. Oh, Alberto, that's a question. What's the difference between the 737-800 and the MAX? I think fuselage length, I'd have to look at the data. I think off the top of my head, fuselage lengths are pretty much the same, but the engines are totally different. So they've got the those massive engines on the MAX, and because of that, the actual pylons are further forward and further raised. It then changes the centre of gravity of the jet, makes it a bit trickier to fly, hence the creation of MCAS from Boeing as well in that aircraft. My goodness, Steve, you are busy. Randy saying, according to PMDG, the MAX variants are going to be released during the 777 development, so sometime between the 900 and the 777 release. Is that on the forums somewhere? Ah, Steve there pointing out that the 737 MAX has a different APU exit on the tail as well. Joey Goofy, I would imagine at some point when the Antonov 225 arrives, there will be a Ryanair livery, for sure. And maybe an Osprey World Cargo one as well. PVR LPE, hello to you. A few minutes ago asking, are you using any performance calculator for the 737-900? Yes, I'm using VAS Airplane Toolbox. I've talked about it a lot on various other streams and videos. If I bring up the window capture again so you can see here. Basically what you want to do is just go to Google and type in VAS Airplane Toolbox. First hit is the Forums of X-Plane. Click it. And that's what you want. You might need to create an account for you to download it, but you can download it for free. And it works on Chrome, Safari, Edge, all that sort of thing. And it gives you lots of performance data. In fact, I wonder if I can, without breaking it, display it on this screen as well. There we are, so that's what it looks like. So you can pull in all of the ACARS, various flights, fast sim brief. There's lots of aeroplanes supported, A310s as well, folks, for those of you like the Inibuilds A310, the A320 for FedEx. The Flubber A32NX as well, in theory you could use this, the A320 Neo Performance Tab, A330, 200 and 300s. Those of you who like the big jets in X-Plane, the A340-600 for example. And then, as we've been enjoying, I do a lot of my performance calculations in VAS Airplane Toolbox for the PMDG 737NG series. So the 600, 700, 800 and 900 are supported. Later on down the line, 757s, 767s, 777s as well. Good for the next PMDG aircraft, being a long-haul jet, twin aisle. That's going to be encompassed in those. And then we've got some CRJs as well. Again, useful performance calculations for those. There's lots and lots of aircraft, Embraers, and a Tupolev 154 as well, bizarrely of all things. So well worth downloading that. It's free as well, so you can't go wrong. Yes, not good for this Captain Sim 777. The less said about that, the better. Yes, Peter, it's just slightly scratched window surface. Probably a bit better to see it from maybe not that angle. There, that angle, look. Joey Goofy saying, do you still not think that the Flubber A380X will be released by summer? No, yeah, I can't imagine it coming this side of summer at all. I'd be surprised to see it by Christmas. As much as I would absolutely love to see it, yeah, who knows, who knows. It's one of those things, isn't it? We're all super excited for an aircraft like that, but we've got to be careful about putting way too much pressure on what is a freeware volunteer team. Flight Tim Sim saying this reminds me of the launch days for the 737-700 and the Phoenix last year. Happy days. Yeah, new year, new lineup. There's another max difference there between the 737NGs and the max versions of the same jet from Boeing. So Steve there saying the landing gear is a bit taller to accommodate the bigger engines in the max as well. There's all these things that these developers need to bear in mind when they're creating all these varying different aeroplanes. And then you've got to then also think about the aerodynamic differences as well, and that, you know, how the aeroplane will behave slightly different because it's a little bit higher up on the ground and all that sort of thing. Brian, it's VAS Airplane Toolbox. I'll type it in the live chat for you, buddy. There you go. Ed, hello mate. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're enjoying it. We're nice and comfortable at cruise now. What we could do is have a little look in here. Let's check our fuel. And then cruise as well. We could look at stepping up. So we're flight level 370 at the moment. Reckons the optimal cruise is flight level 350 effectively. So 2,000 below our current. But if we set 390 for consideration for a step climb, we'll just see what it gives us. We're not going to do a step climb today, but it's just to sort of show. And actually it's telling us we're unable. My goodness, look how narrow that flight envelope is. There is 8 knots difference before starting to go too fast and starting to fly too slow. That's crazy. And currently a 54 knot tailwind pushing us towards Spain. So there's some good news to balance fairly narrow flight envelope there. Coffin corner mark. The link for the PMDG website as well is in the description for today's live stream, along with the Luke Air tool, which is what we're using for our announcements today, various other things as well. So do check out the description of the live stream today. The product will be released on the PMDG website. Yeah, Jeff, that's the worry, isn't it? If in MSFS sometimes with the weather being a bit balked, if you get sudden weather change, like, say for example that 55 knot tailwind suddenly disappears to 0, we're going to lose indicated airspeed as well. So we might end up finding that we're flying a bit too slow. Should we catch up on Volanta? Usually we've got a large fleet of aircraft flying along today, but we did have rather last minute stream for this morning when it arrived in the hangar. But there's our departure out of Amsterdam, Schiphol, over that lake there near Lamuden, and then flying outbound. We've done over Antwerp at the moment. We've passed west of Brussels. Currently we are, ooh, hello, we're almost over Paris, but we have a controller. Brest control 1255. And there's our screenshots so far for today. Let's get them on Volanta as well. So we're going to tune into that frequency now. 125.5.
Up, descending flight level 100.
Hopefully.
Is it 2702?
Yes, there's Paris Charles de Gaulle.
Cover Channel Iceland, so monitor Unicom 122.8. Over.
That's a good point as well, FlyTimSim is making in the live chat. So when the 737-900 is released, PMDG are also going to be releasing updates to the other products in their series too. So that in the Operations Centre, PMDG Ops Centre, there are going to be updates for the 600, the 700 and the 800 alongside the release of the 900. Very, very exciting. The other day they updated the DC-6 as well. Lots of new updates pushed into that aircraft, and that's really good fun. We are overdue a DC-6 flight actually. That is a proper airplane sweaty pilot moment.
27,300 to flight level 390.
Spirit 5, Fox Trot Charlie, bonjour, squawk 1000.
Nice and easy, spot 1000 for Spirit 5, Fox Trot.
Brest Centre, bonjour, KLM 49 Mike is over Ducra, flight level 370.
KLM 49 Mike, bonjour, direct DSEC.
Direct to DSEC, KLM 49 Mike. So, direct to DSAC, select it, pop it at the top, check it, execute.
Continue climb 390 and direct to Brittany, Speedbird 5 Foxtrot Charlie.
DGN, could you imagine? That'd be great, wouldn't it? The sheer length of the 737 MAX 10 is incredible. Thank you to everybody so far who's hit the like button, 107 likes, really good to see you enjoying it. I'm curious to know in the chat where you guys will be flying the jet. If you're looking at purchasing the 737, 900 and 900ER, all part of one package, when it does release in around at least 1 hour 15 from now. Let us know in the live chat what your route is going to be. We're going to try and get a screenshot of Scholdegol. The Stroopwafel Express, as we've named her. Passing over Paris. Look at that. It's not Paris Scholdegol, is it? There's Paris Scholdegol. My God, look at Paris below. That looks phenomenal. Carlito, Anchorage to Los Angeles. Very cool. Paul, thank you, buddy. Welcome to you. Hello, good afternoon. AKA the Darts channel. Been with us for 12 months now as Gold Frequent Flyer. Thank you very much for all of the ongoing support. Passing over Orly there. It does, doesn't it? It's interesting, Mark. So it does make it look a bit more slimline. Christopher Levin mentioned that a little earlier on as well too, saying it looks a little bit less chubby. Currently, 4 degrees nose up roughly. Don't forget it's a lot longer as well. Aviator, no problem, that's fair enough. If you enjoy those, that's all that matters. Dalton from T-Town saying the things I'll do for the 777 to release tomorrow. VATSIM's off to Tajikistan with the 737. Of course you are. Do the world's most random routes. That's probably got me, that has. My God. Captain Shaquille, good afternoon, mate. He's off to Punta Cana. Very nice. From JFK, Delta. The next one we're going to be looking at doing is Seattle to Janeo in the 737-900, I think. We might be flying back as well with Hergy1234, who's created the freeware Alicante series we're flying to today. We might fly back to Amsterdam on the weekend. Jeff's loving the his cute little 600. Michael's looking forward to the 777. We all are. Really excited to that. Yeah, it's just it was deselected, so it kind of recycled it, if that makes sense, Steve. So that's engine, instrument, reset. Delta fan, you know. God. Randy, I've never tried it, so I don't know. I don't know. This is a real KLM route as well, but it's now done on the Embraers, I believe, from what I think Avsim was mentioning a little earlier on too. It's Lively, good morning to you, buddy. He's got the 700, but he's been waiting to grab this 900 as well. He skipped the 800 series, fair enough. Well, today is the days, Lively. You can get your hands behind the controls of the super stretched 737-900. I mean, even that wing view there, look how far it is away from our usual wing view, which is, so as a comparison, our usual wing view is about here. Actually, no, it's not. It's about there, isn't it? That's our usual wing view. But instead, we've got all this extra length, which means that our wing view is now that far back, and it's only a few meters. but it actually looks like it's a huge difference in length.
Turn the left heading 200 and descent flight level 7.
Flight Sim saying the Flybot A380 looks phenomenal. The airport scenery designers will have their work cut out putting the double air bridges to accommodate it. Yes, Builds at Heathrow especially. And yeah, that's probably a good way to compare it. This is the 737 version of an A321. Not a bad way of thinking about that. Those of you with flow, let's have a look to see what the camera modes of flow come up with today. I don't know what orbit is. Oh, it's that one. Showcase view time.
KLM 49 Mike.
So monitor Unicom for KLM 49 Mike, thanks. Where were we? Showcase cameras. So these are what Flow are already putting in basically. Really nice views actually. Obviously the menu is in the way a little bit, but I kind of can't get around that. We're kind of flicking through as we go. See what it offers us. That's a cool one. So is that. I do love an engine view. So a little bit of blade on show. And then we got good old tail, reverse belly under the nose wheel, offset drone camera, rear left, rear right, and then back nose. Now we've got a slight crosswind for this next little section. 1228, we're on Unicom now, let's change that frequency back. Three more screenshots to go on to Volanta as well, let's work at putting those online. Blownup says, I'm not too sure at the moment what is with everyone loving the 777, but I'm sure I'll gain this key aviation knowledge when PMDG release the 777 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Ooh, look. The MSFS forums, so the MSFS servers are breaking again. And we've been switched to offline mode. Successfully connected. Right, let's try and do that thing Fritz was mentioning. So, if we go to, just press and hold for now, we'll go to static build 2. Game server tab. Automatic server. West Europe, North Europe, Southeast, East US, West US. Cool. I do love flow. So basically if it goes offline again and we lose, we might need to check again. If we lose any photogrammetry once more, what we'll do is switch across to a different server. Although interestingly we're on North Europe for some reason, but we were on West Europe. Let's change. Click of a button. That Aviator says, am I the only one that would love to see a study level TBM 960? That would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Hey, you know what? I just remembered, we've got Skydolly's latest update, so do not let me forget when we get to Alicante to hit that record button, and we will actually watch the jet back. Let's do that. We'll watch it back from the ground as a bit of a touchdown cam to see what it looks like on flare. Yeah, I'm just working out, Fritz, at the moment, spacing with an aircraft behind. I don't know if they're on the same route. Gazakar. Is Gazakar online? Not sure. What's it showing? Speedbird 344. Can't see him on TCAS. So just doing a bit of background research. He's not on there either. Okay, that's fine. So basically what we have to do is go into menu. This is really annoying when the sim does this. The servers at the moment with Microsoft Flight Simulator are struggling for some reason. They've acknowledged it is a bit of a problem. And they're monitoring it, they've said. But there's no current fix. So if you have in-flight and this happens, you've got to do the steps we've just done there. We turn the photogrammetry back on again. Otherwise everything will be washed out effectively. Until Asobo fix it once again. Some people have said the South Asia server is really reliable. Joey Goofy, no, it's just a one-time purchase. The caveat to what we've just done there is if you're on VATSIM, you need to work out if other aircraft are going to be impacted by you turning the data back on, because as you saw, it took a few minutes. The problem is the live weather's fine. It's the photogrammetry that turned itself off bizarrely. Yeah, thanks for the tip there, Fritz. Appreciate it. You had to do it the other day as well, didn't you? I think from memory. We will expect that to happen again at least once during the flight. I think the server issues at the moment, Asobo are kind of trying to tackle. There we go. In fact, let's go to the very front row, shall we? Let's see how far forwards this wing view is. I love the slightly updated cabin as well. Look at the seats, really swish. This is the furthest forward point that we can get for a window view. Look, we can literally barely see the wingtip. My goodness. Incredible. And now we're flying into sunset as well, so we're going to see all the night lighting of the aeroplane lit up too. We can either leave it on real time or we can wind the time back. I think what I'd probably suggest is when we land and we get to Alicante, hopefully you guys might agree, we will we'll fly the whole flight on real time. Then when we arrive, we'll wind the time back to watch the landing in daylight, so we can see how the aeroplane's interacting with the atmosphere, if you like, how it flies on approach and touchdown. And we've got to watch that flare as well. Hopefully I don't tail strike the landing. And then we'll see all the night lighting of the flight deck too. (16:58 UTC). That brings us to 1 hour 2 minutes from the sometime after 1800 Zulu release time. Who knows? Hopefully it will be bang on the dot. I'm sure you guys will tell me if it is. We are monitoring the PMDG website. Because we also want to know what the cost is going to be. We don't know yet. They've just said it's going to be expected between the 600 and the 700, 800 variants currently released. Yeah, and I'm not sure. Sim Eric, yes, it's 1700 Zulu. Well, it's 1658 exactly. When PMDG say that the pricing is expected between the 600 price and the 700, 800 variants, as a bit of a reminder, the 700 and the 800 are currently priced the same. They're on sale for $69.99 US. And the 600 is on sale at $34.99. The 700 and 800 are actually on sale at the moment, if that makes sense. They're actually discounted slightly. So the full price, once that sale ends, will be $74.99 for those variants, looking at the website at the moment. But it's currently on sale for a little bit less. I'll show you guys what I mean by that on the window viewer. We should also probably place bets to work out whether or not the PMDG website's going to crash or not. But here we go. So DC-6, wonderful, wonderful aeroplane. Really, really tough to fly, but good fun. 737-800, the first one there, that's $69.99 US dollars. It was $74.99. It's on sale at the moment, discounted. 700, bottom right, same price, and the 600 on the left of the screen as we're showing it now is $34.99. So they've said they expect it in the range between that, so we don't know. Could be anything in between those two, but who knows. Sounds like a very nice pricing strategy though, to be fair. But we're monitoring that page at the moment to see what appears. When it appears, I should say, more than anything else. Ron says when you get a squawk code from live ATC and you must monitor Unicom. See that bit of wing flex? No, Ron, so if you're flying VFR, that's a really good question actually. Really good question actually. So if you get a squawk code from ATC, as we've had earlier on, when we were on the ground at Amsterdam, we were given a squawk 2101, but we're flying IFR. So even though we've changed to Unicom, we've kept that squawk code the same, 2101. If we were flying VFR though, and we're flying say a Cessna 172, then what we would be looking at there is leaving controlled airspace. You would then squawk your VFR transponder code, which is most likely 7000 again. Joshua, it says sometime release sometime after 1800 Zulu. Bit more shaky wings for a bit of rough air. Rich saying that the nice thing about the flow server change is it's seamless. Yeah, it's a good point actually, we should probably point out. So to change these servers here, between these varying different servers in the sim, you would have to ordinarily press escape, go back into the menu and change the server and then come back into your flight. Whereas this now with flow, you just hit the tab button or whatever you've got set and select the server. You could just leave it on automatic, this one here, and flow will monitor and change based upon as it is in the menu when you select automatic, based upon which is the lesser ping. Not yet, MPS Gaming. It's not released yet. 58 minutes. Lazarus saying, let's be realistic, they don't care if we've bought the other planes too, they're going for maximum profit, and understandably, therefore Lazarus is estimating 60 to 65 euros. Wouldn't that bring it to be the same price as the 700 and 800? They've said it would be between that and the 600, so I think you've potentially overpriced that. It's difficult to kind of predict. I don't want to throw a price out there. I've got one in my head, but I'm damned to be wrong if I say it out loud. So we will wait and see. But once it does hit that time, and we'll be hitting the refresh button to find out the price, I'll let you guys know. But you might find out even quicker, to be honest. David, yes. Carlito, it depends what you want. So parallel flow, you've got a free one, which is Essentials, or Pro. Pro gives you a few extra things, a couple of extra widgets, like the controls visualizer, I believe. But things like GSX and the VATSIM widgets you can download from flightsim.to anyway. I don't know if you can add the custom widgets in with the Flow Essentials. I think you need Pro for it. Someone in the chat might know a bit more accurately. But Parallel 42 basically said if you stream you need Pro, so I purchased Pro off from Orbex actually. MPS Gaming, you get the 900 and the 900 ER on release, so two variants. But I think this is it, isn't it? This will complete the 737NG series for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Is that right? And all to think that we enjoyed the very first 737-700 flight 10 months ago, 8 months ago roughly, I think. Very exciting. And look how far the simulator has come in that time as well. Ooh, hello. Speed change. So we've had a weather change. That'd be because we changed the server and turned online services back on. And it's actually meant that we are... It's that narrow flight envelope again. We are creeping away at... almost flying too slow there. So it went amber as a warning to us to tell us to monitor and either sort it out or do something else or monitor. Still heavy though, 5.7 tons of fuel. Gross weight... 69.2 tons at the moment, so we are heavy, heavy, heavy. We could probably look at descent forecast. William wants old school, he wants classic. Max variants, Geronimo, hello to you. They are bringing the 737 MAX to Microsoft Flight Simulator in the future. But PMDG are also working on the 777, the Boeing 777 as well for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2, bringing that wonderful, very versatile twin-aisle long hauler to the sim. I've said before, I think my first flight in the 777, when that does eventually arrive, whenever that might be, there's no forecast release or anything for that at the moment. They're still very much hard at work developing that, of course. But in my mind, I've already got a route set. Whenever that does arrive, it's going to be Heathrow to Madrid. Hopefully there's going to be a nice British Airways livery, so we can do some test flights. Oh, I'm not sure, Flight Sim. At this, so I only use Volanta, partly because I use their stream overlay now, which I really like too. I'm going to put the METAR for Alicante in the live chat. There you go, so you guys can see that too. QNH 1019 currently. And the transition level, we do need to kind of work that out too. It says transition level by ATC, so we've got to think about things like the pressure. So QNH 1019, standard pressure is 1013, so it's slightly higher pressure than the international sort of standard, if you like. The departure SIDs have got a transition altitude of 6,000, so I think we could probably go 6,500 for transition level when we change back. Actually, let's go 1,000. I always say, if in doubt, add 1,000. So we will do that. A wonderful sunset as well. The window shade's doing a great job for the first officer if we were seated there, but otherwise we've got beautiful views, clear skies across Europe. Blown up. That's fantastic. Peter's asking, when am I going to get the DC Designs Concorde out the hangar again? I'm not sure. We left it in Barbados, didn't we? And we're yet to fly it back to Heathrow. That was what was supposed to be a 3.5 hour flight turned into a 5 hour flight, I think. Wasn't it? It's, yeah, I didn't do too well with flying that. Limoges on the right. We're going to be passing a few miles west of Toulouse, probably about 80 miles west of Toulouse. And then we're expecting, if I show you Volanta, potentially some weather over the Pyrenees, which is understandable. There's the Pyrenees, that line there. If you imagine a big old buffer, that whole section there is mountains. So just south of that, there's some nasty weather. In fact, all around Barcelona, there's some weather. We're flying through that. So hopefully live weather is on point, and we'll get some funky weather on the way through as we descend down through Valencia into Alicante. And of course, sod's law, we've got LECM centre on, but they're not actually assisting us with our route down the edge of east coast of Spain. Of course not. Towards Alicante, what we're going to be looking at flying is the Valencia 3 Lima arrival, which is going to have us overfly Valencia 116.1 of VOR there, at or above flight level 100, 195 degrees track down to flight level 80 by Vilna, which is the initial approach fix. And then there are a couple of options for us for the approach. One being a Vilna 1, one being a Vilna 2. We're flying a Vilna 2 today. The ILS Zulu runway 10 approach to Alicante. So flying a 20 DME arc, a lot of terrain around us here, peaks of 4,000, 2,700, 2,800 feet, 3,700 feet, 4,200, you guys get the idea. A lot of terrain around us to avoid. And at 17 DME we'll be turning final into Alicante. At 5,900 feet, down to 4,200 feet is a bit of a step down, avoiding that bit of terrain, and then we should be establishing on that glide slope on the way in. Providing the weather is good, as always with most aircraft, what I will be looking at doing is flying in the approach from 1,000 foot with autopilot and auto thrust turned off, so we'll hand fly the whole thing from 1,000 feet in to kind of understand how the aeroplane feels and flies in manual flying. As well, more so as a test than anything else today. There are a few things that we might want to tune in advance. So we've got the ILS frequency, same as the 737, 700, 800, 600. Very similar. It's the 737NG series, so they're very familiar. So therefore nav 1 and 2 need to be tuned to a course of 100 degrees. And we also need to tune both nav 1 and 2 to 1103. There's an Alicante NDB of 330 and the Altet VOR of 113.8, and the missed approach depends on what we're going to tune really. So if we go around from the approach, we need to climb on 100 degrees to 3 DME Altet, so we need to tune that in. Climbing right turn to intercept and follow the 125 radial direct to Maggle to 4,000, and then we're going to hold at Maggle, which is that little inset there. As always, we think not only about the approach, but what happens after the approach. So runway 28, we've got to think about where we're going to vacate, and Alpha 2 is the most likely exit point, being a high-speed exit, so it means we can carry a little bit more speed off as we turn off the runway, and then we brake to a nice slow speed as we then almost stop before turning right on Alpha to configure the aeroplane after landing. But if I end up flying a bit too quick, or we set up slightly incorrectly and we end up using most of the runway, or we go past Alpha 2, we'll just continue to roll and vacate at Alpha 4. Or even if it goes really wrong, Alpha 6, but hopefully not Alpha 6. Then we'll taxi in. We're expecting gate 39. But it all begins in the star. Having said that, we can be nice and proactive. We can tune in some of these frequencies now and the courses. So we mentioned course of nav 1 and 2. Let's get that tuned to nav 2, 100. And nav 1, 100. Down in the multi-mode radio, what we can do is a couple of things actually really helpful this. So the VOR 1138. We can pop that active. And then we can also flick that across to ILS 1161's Valencia, ILS 110.3. Like so. So initially we got the VORs tuned. Lazaros, thank you, buddy. Welcome on board. Joining us as a bronze frequent flyer. New channel member. Welcome back. Kalispera. VATSIM, yes. Hergy did add an Osprey gate to Bristol. That was my choice, of all places. Beautiful route. Joey, yes you did, sorry. Great shout, good point, well made. All the talk about runway 10, and then I'm talking about vacating on 28. So yeah, we are doing ILS 10. So yeah, you're right. Runway 10 to vacate. So we're actually going to be we're going to be landing this direction from 10, going this all the way towards the threshold of 28. So good point, well made. Reverse what we just discussed. So we'll never be able to vacate Alpha 2 or Alpha 4. Ignore that. My error there. So we're going to fly over the VOR, over the approach lights of runway 10, past the windsock, and then we're going to be landing over this way. So Charlie 2, that's ambitious. That's just over the halfway point of the runway. Look, stand by, overspeed warning. Significant weather change just then. Actually, it's just tickled us into overspeed almost all of a sudden, and jumped us up by 200 feet. Crazy. The aeroplane's got it. We're back safe. And the Pyrenees actually just rendering into the distance. Look at that on the horizon. Beautiful. Back to the briefing. So Charlie 4 or Charlie 5 are probably what we're going to be looking at the most. Charlie 4 is a high-speed exit. So pretty much as we discussed for Alpha 2 if we were landing on 28. The same goes for high-speed exit at Charlie 4 for runway 10. So that's what we're going to aim for. It also depends on what VAS airplane toolbox is going to give us. So we're going to be landing roughly with a planned landing weight of 67 tons. We're going to have both reversers on. And I'm going to set up for a flap 30 arrival. So if we calculate that, it reckons a VREF of 144 knots. So not too dissimilar to that of the 737-800 to be fair. And it's recommending auto brake 2 or auto brake 3. So I reckon auto brake 2 and full reverse. Landing altitude on VAS airplane toolbox says 150, but actually we need to think about the actual elevation here of, yeah, so 150, round it up, 142. So top right of the screen, that landing altitude section there, no navigraphs on the left, we'll pop 150 in. That's the nearest we can get to that figure. Look at the emissives. Beautiful. Now the light's going down. Nice view. So yeah, as we were talking about, instead of Alpha 4, because I think I might have had Volanta up by accident, we're going to land and we're going to aim to vacate at Charlie 4. If we don't quite get the energy right and the speed right to vacate on the high speed exit, we'll just extend and come off at Charlie 5, or failing that, if we really mess it up, Charlie 7. And then we'll taxi in. Ducest, hello, yes, asking, do we need to tune the VOR manually? We do indeed. So down here, there's two options. There's the multi-mode radio, but there's also a classic version, which is 2 comm radios that look like the comm stack here actually, but they're for the VORs and ILS for the nav. So it looks like this, but for nav, if that makes sense. This is the new multi-mode radio here that we're using. So at the moment GLS doesn't function. You can tune 2 VORs, which is really, really helpful, or you can tune in an ILS frequency as well. But yeah, you do need to manually tune those. For an ILS approach, certainly as well, you need to tune ILS 1 and NAV 1 and NAV 2 to the ILS frequencies, and pop the courses in on the MCP there for NAV 1 and 2. they've got a match as well. Otherwise it won't work that well. Planning on gate 39, but just whatever's free when we arrive, really, around there. Glad to think so, Lazarus. I miss being in Greece. Samuel was asking, do you have the Alicante airport's purchase or just the default? I haven't got the purchase payware because there's an incredibly good freeware version on flightsim.to. Let's bring up another tab on Microsoft Edge. Flightsim.to. As you can tell, I don't use Edge, which is why I'm not logged in, but type search LEAL. That one, by Hergy1234. This is what we're using today. It's just been updated, but look at these screenshots. It's freeware. Flightsim.to and their adverts. They're everywhere. Yeah, looking really good, does it? It looks really nice actually. It's just been updated, so he's done a lot of work in improving all of this. The ground textures, the interior of the terminal building as well. Bit of bokeh in the screenshot there. Oh, he's put some little yachts in the harbour as well. That's cool. We won't see those today until the replay. We rewind time to watch the arrival on daylight hours. Yeah, looking good. "39 minutes. Andrew, almost. Jimmy, welcome, buddy. Hope you're okay. Ahmed, welcome. Big question. It's been a while since I've been able to catch a live stream. Do you think I'm better off with the 737-800 or the 737-900? Now that all depends on what you want to do at your own sim experience. The 737-800 comes with a cargo variant. That's a good option for cargo hops. It also comes with the BBJ-2, the Boeing Business Jet 2, which is based on the 737-800. The 737-900 comes with the 900 and the 900ER variants. So yeah, it depends what you want out of your own sim experience, really, and also if you're a stickler for realistic routes, because then you probably end up buying both, if that makes sense. And again, the big caveat there is it depends on your own budget. We don't have a limitless budget, do we? So it's whatever you're going to enjoy the most. That's the best way that I can kind of recommend things. They're all fantastic. The 600 is really good fun. It's super short. It's if we compared it against the length of this, my goodness, it'd be like half the distance. I think it's a really dinky little jet, but this is the longest of the NG series. Being the 900. As you can see, we've got the blended wings. The split scimitars are an option based on some liveries. And Iglet, no, all on one computer at the moment. I think what I might need to do actually is check my drone camera settings. Probably wind that down a little bit. Maybe to 15. That should give us a nice rotate around the jet. Aviation saying taxiway Charlie 1 is closed in real life. Thank you very much for the information. Lazarus went for the 600. The 900 as well is probably going to get it at some point. Yeah, it all depends. It all depends on what you want to do and what your budget is really, and also what you enjoy most out of your own sim experience, as we've talked about. It's tough to kind of recommend one aircraft over another because they're all fantastic. What PMDG have brought to the Microsoft Flight Simulator world is, well, they're still my firm favourites. They're great fun, and this is their latest iteration, the latest product line. As a gameplay, I'm not sure. It's not 1800 Zulu yet, and also it's not on the website, so it's not out yet. We're not playing that game again. Every time. No EFB yet, or Universal Flight Tablet as they're calling it. It's still not quite ready yet with what they want to be able to do in the sim with the tablet. So work is still ongoing from what we can understand there. But look at that, it looks great, doesn't it? It's a beautiful livery though with the sunset too. I guess what helps is Microsoft Flight Simulator looks spectacular. There we go, there's a screenshot and a half, look at that. Andrew's boosted costed extra 80 to catch up, but I think it's still an hour out behind. My goodness. Sorry, put my teeth back in. Aviation is asking, do I like the Fenix A320? Yes, absolutely. It's not without its bugs. Those of you who watched yesterday had a great flight in it, but had issues with reverse thrust again, like a number of us are getting. So that's something I would like to see them fix at some point soon. But it's interesting. Did not know that. Oh yeah. The little wheels. That's quite cool. I'm going to start using that more often then. Makes sense, because the idea is that you never need to use that hot bar anymore, which I still haven't disabled. Jeff's really enjoyed his first Unibuilds A310 flight yesterday. It certainly is a cool plane, yeah. Andrew saying he had the reverse thrust bug earlier in the Fenix as well. Jamie, welcome on board. Thanks for hitting the shiny red subscribe button below. Hopefully you're looking forward to the release of the 737-900 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Sam, just flying the standard 737-900 at the moment. Estimated time of arrival, what are we now? We're 1727Z. 1820Z, we might as well round that up. 327 nautical miles to go. Top of descent in 198 nautical miles from now. We should probably prep the aircraft for night flying. So turn down some of these screens so they're not so bright. We popped terrain on as well. We're coming up to the Pyrenees, a beautiful part of the world to fly over at sunset. But we can also make use of the terrain mapping. So we've got peaks mode active, which is an option in the FMS, and that gives us the highest peaks in the area. Highest one being nearby for us anyway, at least, that could impact us should something go wrong, was 10,900 feet. Wow. We can turn that down a little bit as well. Bring the brightness of the FMS screens down a tad. And then over here, I want to bring those screen brightnesses right down. And then as it gets darker, we will just tweak. We'll tweak away at some of these. I do love the emissives in the jet at night. I mean, that's completely off. Look at that. Now we're talking. No weather radar yet, Samuel. Unfortunately not. Jamie's asking, what was the nice menu we just had instead of the top bar? It's called Flow by Parallel 42. It's a really nice payware replacement for the top bar menu. You can actually toggle it off completely. If you buy Flow Pro, you can have widgets like VATSIM ATIS. So if we're flying into, I think LEMD has ATC on at the moment, we can type in LEMD and it brings you up the VATSIM ATIS at the airport, so you can brief yourself in advance and actually read the ATIS for the arrival as well, which is great for those of you who like to fly in VR too. We don't have any ATC at Alicante though, so there's no ATIS. As you're saying, Jamie, it's really nice and clean. I purchased it on Allbex. I'm not sure if it's available anywhere else on other markets. Midweek Demon, welcome on board. Thanks for subscribing. And Jimmy was asking, do I enjoy flow? Seems we're talking about it. Yeah, absolutely. More so than I thought I would have done, actually, to be totally honest with you guys. But last time we flew this route, we landed at Alicante in daylight hours from memory. So not sure what to expect with this. It's going to be a lot darker. We'll be trying to hand fly the aircraft in for a nice tail strike free touchdown at Alicante. We get a bit closer as well, but at night. So it's going to add a little bit more of a tricky edge to arrivals. Again as well, like we did on Takeoff, that controls visualizer and flow down at the bottom there. I'll turn that on for the arrival into Alicante so you can see the control inputs. The current METAR at Alicante, I popped it on the screen a little earlier on. It's QNH 1020. Winds are currently, it's a crosswind, 020 degrees at 8 knots. But variable between 340 degrees and 070 degrees. That makes it a little bit tricky as well with managing speeds, making sure we're not flying too slow. If it suddenly whips from a crosswind to a slight tailwind or into a headwind flicks into a crosswind, we lose 5 to 10 knots or so of indicated airspeed. It can get hairy there, and that's where we can worry about things like wind shear too. All the nines, few clouds, 2,600 feet, scatter cloud at 4,000. Temperature at Alicante is 12 degrees Celsius with a dew point of +5. So there's a nice spread of 7 degrees there between the dew point and the actual temperature of the air, and QNH 1020 as we mentioned. So 1020, let's tune that in. The minimums for the approach, 412, we can pop that in as well. Like so. Mario, welcome aboard. Thanks for subscribing. 67.1 tons is what we estimated for our landing weights. So we can pop that in the box there, and it's given us a flap 30 approach, VREF of 151. So we can select it, add it in the box there. I don't know what's with the elevator music. Let's shift it up a notch. In fact, let's go to our usual playlist, shall we? Kick it off with Dance the Night Away by Celine. Different Celine, not Celine Dion. Just going to update that, probably for the last time. I won't worry about that being massively accurate. Kettles, welcome on board as well. Hope you guys are well. You're joining us now, T-minus 27 minutes to the penciled in time period for the PMDG 737-900 launch. So sometime after 1800 Zulu, the 7th of Feb being today, we can expect that release of their latest product and the final product of the 737NG lineup as well. To complete the family. Got any Cliff Richard? Unfortunately not. Right, let's put some fixed rings in as well. I do like a fixed ring. What do we think about? So 10 miles. 10 and 5 today, I reckon. So we can just do runway 10. 10. 5. Although I'm going to have a little look at the Oh, it got 3 miles there for Altet, but that's fine. That's for the VOR. I won't put one in there because that will just confuse things potentially. We could draw an extended centerline of things, but I'm not going to worry about that today either. I have tried the new 787-8 mod, Ahmed, yes. Last week or earlier in the week. I forget which I think it's last week, 'cause it's only just Tuesday. Or over the weekend we did the 787-8. We did a little flight in that to test it all out. Very interesting. It uses the heavy division mod to kind of improve it and make it a little bit better to use, but it's still not fantastic. Top of descent after Rimmers. How are we doing for the Pyrenees? Look at that. Wow. That's really cool, isn't it? How fantastic does that look? We go to trying to find a really snazzy wing view. That one. Go right up to the window, shall we? If we as close to it as we can. Grab a screen grab there as well. Live weather is fixed, says Doorman. Happy days. We're using it today, actually. Chris, welcome on board, buddy. No weather radar just yet, sadly. They're still waiting on Asobo to sort out a few things in the sim, from what I understand, to allow them to bring an accurate weather radar to us. Popping the screenshots of Atlanta again, as always. Another, yeah, one of the routes, Alaska Airlines, Seattle to Juneau, is going to be on the cards over the next week or so. We'll have a few days where we're just enjoying the 737, the 900 and the 900ER. So we'll use both aircraft. When we get to Alicante, once we've done a replay of our touchdown to see how good it looks from the outside of the flight deck as well, we will spawn back in on stand with the 737-900ER to kind of explore that, have a little look at the door seal, the extra door seal that Steve Drar mentioned earlier on in the live chat. But Atlanta really doesn't like one of my screenshots. It does struggle with 2K screenshots, it seems. This side of the aircraft will be a lot darker now. Loads of screen grabs today. And we're in that weird twilight zone of 37,000 feet. I say weird, it always looks quite spectacular. Deucer says, I was flying from Barcelona earlier on and got a thunderstorm, didn't think much of it, plus I was frustrated as the sim crashed as soon as I took off. That's not good. Do check what sceneries and things you have added and installed in the sim. Sometimes that is the cause of certain crashes. If you've got things that don't agree with one another, that have got dependencies that might be out of date that need updating, there's all sorts of things that could cause the sim to crash, of course. I reckon we jump back in here. Need to be a little bit better on the heading bug today. Still a very narrow flight envelope, but it has extended a little bit. We're just going to watch that sunset. Now, there's something that we talk about when we fly at night time as well in the sim is how if we descend, it will darken even quicker, like it does in real life as well, because for those people on the ground below us as we're flying, if this was the real world, it's already darkness. But because we're flying at 37,000 feet, our horizon extends that little bit longer with the curvature of the Earth, so we can see the sun for a little bit longer. About 85, 90 nautical miles to top of descent now. We're absolutely whistling away, but we've got a 10 knots crosswind. So that really nice tailwind we had pushing us down through France over Paris, that's now gone away. We could probably get rid of the blinds now as well. Let's get rid of those window shades. That one manoeuvre, that one the left turn has meant that we have now already got the sun drop away. Already had the sun drop away, I should say. Sorry for my poor grammar today. "20 minutes to go until the start of the release window. We still don't know an exact time, as the caveat. As Robert Randazzo said on the forums, they said it will be released sometime after 1800 Zulu today. So I mean that could be tomorrow, it could be next week still. It hasn't locked down a time, but we are going to be monitoring the live stream, or the PMDG website I should say, during the live stream. You guys who watch all the time, you can tell I'm having one of those days today. I've obviously not had a good enough lunch or enough coffee. Ducest, are you using their traffic injector, the FSL traffic injector? Because I know the previous version was people were experiencing crash to desktops with that, so it might be worth exploring using the sim without their traffic injector for FSLTL perhaps. Lukertal, hello, welcome. We've been enjoying the KLM announcements today from the Lukertal. Boarding, safety demonstration after takeoff. Got a few more left though. We've got descent and landing as well to go through for the announcements today to keep it that little bit more immersive. M. Wilk says, is it me or are the PMDG landing lights and nose wheel light not as bright as in real life? So I've seen this before. I've seen a few people mentioning it as well on various forums and things, but I work at Heathrow and I'm lucky enough to have access to the apron, and there are a few 737s that blat about, including the MAX 8s, the KLM 737s, specifically the 700 and the 800s that come in regularly. But in previous jobs, when I was working at British Airways and Thomson Airways years ago as well, I had a lot of Ryanair 737s blasting around on the apron around us as well. So I've seen a lot of them, as I'm sure you guys have as well. And personally, I think the emissives are on point. Whether you're choosing the LED lights that we've got mounted on the wings today, or if you have the old school lights that have got the little halogen light on the nose wheel that rotates and moves around. I think they've done a really good job of nailing just how bright they are. Kettle says, never noticed the sun visors before. Is it specific to the 900? No. So you've got, let's see. There we go. You've got that one, which you can slide around. That's down there in the door pocket, the sort of seat pocket down there at the side of the aircraft by the window. But the sun shades are options that you can enable inside the FMS. Martin Music, thanks for subscribing. But yeah, as Andrew's saying, you can't use the front one if you've got the heads-up display installed. Wow, look at that. That city is Lleida. Off down in the coast, we've got Barcelona as well, which is, I think, so that's actually a storm that's on Valanta. Barcelona is just beyond that. In fact, that might be Barcelona Airport over there somewhere. I'm not 100% certain, but so it's over there somewhere. But we've got the coast of Spain running down ahead of us that we are chasing now. We're pursuing. Going to bring the screen brightnesses down a little bit more for nighttime flying. We just tweak them a bit more as it's getting darker. That'll probably do us. I've had the low bandwidth issue twice today, Deucest. And as I have as well, as you've got yourself, you've got gigabit internet. I've got 600 megasecond, I think it is, which is pretty quick. Thank you to everyone who's hit the like button so far. 161 likes, really appreciate it. Good to see you guys all stoked, hyped up for the 737-900. Did I tune that earlier on? The 330. Yeah, let's transfer that. Let's get that active. That's ADF. That's the Alicante NDB. Not going to use it today, but it could be useful. Always have a contingency planned. We've got service-based failures loaded up, and yeah, we're completely full today, Andrew. Let's see. We go to payload. There you go. 12 first class, 153 in economy, and we've got 2.8 tons in the forward cargo, 2.75 in the rear, so it's given us a gross weight of 67.6 tons at the moment, zero fuel weight of 63.6 and a 99.7% load level. We are very, very heavy. What did we say for the landing as well? We said order brake 2, didn't we? So let's set that now. Birdman. I'm not sure actually, I've never thought of that. I wonder, now you've mentioned it, I do wonder if they have a test server for fiddling around with weather in the sim. Sobo, that is, folks. Surely not, because it would impact people if it goes wrong. I'd like to think that maybe they have a test platform, test server, but it's a different server entirely that we won't ordinarily have access to. That seems logical to me. 40 miles to top of descent. So if we go to window capture, the checklist that I released back in the days of the 737-700, all that time ago, I worked at creating this checklist to help people learn the jet and have a nice 2-page all-encompassing checklist summarised for use. You can download it on flightsim.to or on our website britishavgeek.com, where you'll also find all of our tutorials for the 737NG series. There's a specific playlist on our YouTube channel as well here that you'll find a lot of tutorials for the 737 on, and various other aircraft and their own playlists as well, including all of our new VATSIM tutorials, episodes 1 to 7 currently, that we've been creating through January to help people get started on the VATSIM network, which is the one we're flying on today. So we've done all of the checks up to after takeoff, all of these, and we're now thinking about descent. So all of this is what we have coming up next, including the below 10,000 checks, below transition altitude as well. Captain Sam's got a really good question there. For those of you not familiar with the jet, how can you tell how far you are from the airport? Good question. Just basically, I'll leave the Windows screen up so we can do this kind of 50-50. On the FMS, hit the prog page. It says Alicante 164. That's our destination. You can go through that as well, so you can see we've got a tailwind of 4 knots, current wind in cruise, the ISA deviation, air temperature, the crosswind. There's lots of different pages that you can kind of explore. There's loads to keep you busy. The big one is monitoring fuel in this as well, making sure that as you get to each waypoint you have a little look at your OFP on SimBrief if you've generated your plan on there, and you make sure that your fuel is above or at least near to the predicted fuel burn. If it's a lot less, then you've got to start calculating how much fuel you might have at the end and whether you need to divert fuel emergency, that sort of stuff. Let's have a little quick run through this anyway. 20, 30, we'll call it 25 miles to go to top of descent. So destination weather obtained. Alicante, 020 degrees at 8 knots for the wind. Variable 3408 degrees and 070 degrees. That wind could be switching around and being quite choppy and unpredictable on final approach, but the visibility is good at all the 9s, so that's have okay, as it's also written elsewhere sometimes the ceiling and visibility okay. It also means basically all the 9s is another way of writing 10 kilometers or more for visibility. It all depends, but they all mean near enough the same thing roughly. Few clouds at 2,600 feet, scattered cloud at 4,000. Temperature's 12 degrees Celsius, dew point 5, QNH no, 1020, and then there's a little bit of writing at the end of the METAR that says no sig. And that means no significant change expected in the next 2 hours. So our final METAR that we are using, the temperature's actually dropped now to 11 degrees. Few clouds have dropped to 2,400. And the wind is 020 degrees still, but now dropped to 7 knots. It's in the live chat for you guys. And T-minus 9 minutes approximately. Steve, great to hear, buddy. Thank you. Always good to know. Great checklist. Use it all the time. Yeah, Arco, I think it's one of those things where they've got so many other things set that they just haven't got round to it. There's so many other things to develop and things going on in the sim. I suppose it is probably on the back burner for them, I guess, in their mind. Just keeping with the checklist, we've got our VREF set, our minimums as well for the approach set, and our transition altitude QNH set as well. So we go below that transition level, we'll flick to the local pressure at Alicante, which is 1020, so that's already preset to. Auto brake set to 2. We're going to do a 2 flap 30 auto brake 2 arrival with reverse thrust. That should get us off that high speed exit nicely. And we've got our lock and ILSs all tuned. So VOR's 1138 set for Alicante, it's still a bit far away. And then we've got 110.3 tuned for the ILS on nav 1 and nav 2. Mandatory. Got to have both tuned, and the course of nav 1 and nav 2 set on both sides of the MCP there as well. 10 miles to top of descent. MCP, reset altitude. So I'm going to aim for a continuous descent down to 4,200 on Unicom, so I'm just going to set that. We'll monitor it as we go. Hopefully, the PMDG VNAV actually is extremely good at descent. So we're going to leave it on that, just see what happens really. We should decelerate at various different decel points through descent, and the aeroplane should help manage that as well fairly effortlessly. But again, it's one of those things you want to monitor and stay on top of just in case, because you never know. I don't think we got the arrival in, have we? Departure, arrival, ILS Zulu 10, Vilna 2 transition, and the Valencia 3 Lima arrival. There we go. My goodness. Thank goodness we double checked. That's the arrival data complete. I knew we missed something. Otherwise, how does VNAV know how to what attitude to go to add to, eh? Oh dear. There you go. Speed restriction at Vilna at 220 knots, at or above flight level 70. 20 DME arc. I'm actually, yeah, so let's see. Alpha Foxtrot 015, 016. I'm actually going to set, I'm going to tweak this to be at 5,900, and that's going to then make the FMS rerun the numbers. There you go. So we're going to be slightly lower now on profile. The VNAV. So 4,200 set on the MCP. We've got our heading set in the right direction. We're about to hit top of descent. We're on VNAV mode. That's going to have the aircraft manage the descent initially for us and for us to monitor it as it does. We're going to do a quick master caution warning check as well, so we haven't got any issues there. Landing elevation is set. Let's put the logo light on as well, just to see those shiny tail textures. Oh yeah. KLM. 49er Mike is our call sign. I think I've still got the checklist up. I do. Let's hide it. Now you can see the jet at night. And yeah, for those of you who like to fly with Osprey Airways, our channel's virtual airline, as we mentioned at the start of today's live stream, there is a Osprey Airways livery and Osprey Airways livery being worked on currently as we speak. Or at least will be once it's released. That looks like the nose has just gone down. So we're in descent. What that then means is we're going to have a 900 and a 900ER 737 variant released very soon. Let's have a look at that flow wheel that we mentioned. Cameras. Oh, so flow is kind of like taking over with its own speeds. That's fine. One of those things you kind of have to get used to. Here we go. It's always a song that I don't like. 1, 5, 6, 7, 8 something or other. Let's switch it up. Let's go for Pulling Me Back by Hallman. Hallman's a great artist. Epidemic sound. There's Valencia below. Beautiful, look at that. Andrew says, can you feel the weight of the 900? So weight is actually quite similar to the 737-800. But you certainly notice the difference in the aerodynamics being longer. There's a slight tweak to the inertia, so your control inputs would take a fraction of a second longer for the aeroplane to actually start to do it, because it's longer, aerodynamically slightly different to the 800, and then you have that extra length, so you've got to consider. In fact, I was very, very mindful of the fact that we were another, 4 or 5 meters longer, and therefore we would very easily tail strike the jet if we weren't careful. So our flare, our rotation was very different. Won't be too long before we get the Luke Airtool descent announcements kicking in as well. Those of you who like to see the vertical deviation and that sort of thing as well, you can see the path on that screen by clicking the center button there, and you can then see your descent path on a nice little display there on the nav display. Flight NY, no, they're still working hard at the EFB. Well, the Universal Flight Tablet is what PMDG are calling it. I know back in the summer we were all quite hopeful we were going to be looking at maybe getting an EFB released around the 737-800. I think that's what we were all hoping for, but yeah, alas, that never came. Some of the features that PMDG wanted, they require certain things in the sim, and they're not just yet there yet, from what I understand. So, reading the forum exactly, it says PMDG Universal Flight Tablet. This is as of the 3rd of February from Robert Randazzo himself, saying, a quick recap on progress. As mentioned previously, the major challenge in the tablet arena is that the C++ and WASM airplanes are unable to use normal Windows communication methods that are necessary for the tablet to function as part of the aeroplane. We've worked around this by creating a tablet outside the aircraft using a simpler script-based language that is allowed to talk to the outside world, but we have a significant engineering challenge getting the tablet and the aeroplane to be able to speak to one another across the full spectrum of data that needs to be passed back and forth between the two. He then goes on to say that whilst we have Whilst we have had Navigraph and charting data functional for many months, we've finally reached the stage of beginning to test the new communication medium that had to be designed from the ground up in order to facilitate the table speaking with the airplane for operational performance computations, and thus far testing is progressing, but very slowly due to inadequate debugging tools available for such tasks, and therefore they don't have a release date plan for the tablet, and they are taking their time to ensure that their new methods provide a stable, reliable communication process so that once you have the tablet it appears to operate seamlessly and without effort. In short, as we know PMDG do now, oh my god, look at that. They will only release something when it's ready. Captain Sam, it's 122.8. That's Valencia down below. Absolutely stunning. Let's see if I can capture that. Wow. That's remarkable. The thing that blows you away with flight simulation just generally is you can operate the same route 4 or 5 times in a row, for example, but you will always notice something different each time. You'll pick up on something ever so slightly different each time you fly the route, and certainly Microsoft Flight Simulator always reminds you how impressive it is. Okay, overhead Valencia. 25,000 feet. Apparently we're just about on profile there. Interestingly, we don't have it there. I'm going to switch the multi-mode radio for nav 2 across to the ILS. And I'm also going to turn on Sky Dolly so that it is ready to record. Roy, good evening, welcome. Hope you're okay. Yeah, 1228 for Unicom. And we can see the banana there, suggesting VNAV's going to get us beautifully on profile. At the right place at the right time. Rab, yeah, we can see your messages, buddy. Well, I can see that one. Earlier on you were saying, I was thinking of flying out of Gatwick in VATSIM this morning, but it was pea soup, very busy, so I bottled it and used observer mode to Manchester. You should throw yourself into it, you'll be fine, Rab. You've done 2 flights on VATSIM now, I think, haven't you? And by the sounds of it, it's been pretty good. And don't forget, every flight is a learning process on VATSIM. Every flight you'll experience something different. And even if you make mistakes, you learn from them, that's the thing. 1802. I think it's time to refresh the website. Which is probably what everyone else is doing. Nothing yet.
To prepare for landing, please stow your luggage in the luggage bin or under the seat in front of you. And please fasten your seatbelt, adjust the back of your seat to the upright position, disconnect your electronic device from the onboard power supply, and stow your tray table. If you have an in-seat video screen, please make sure that this is folded away. And we advise you to read the instructions on the safety onboard card again. You will find a card near your seat. In the unlikely event of an evacuation, leave all your carry-on luggage behind and follow the instructions of the crew.
Birdman, absolutely. Phoenix version 2 for the A320 will be very fun. Hopefully they've made some significant performance improvements, because that's the big sticking point for a lot of people. They have issues with that. At this point, is calling in man just yet. We'll wait till we're at the Vilnius transition, or almost at the Vilnius transition. Samuel, it's Volanta Premium, so it's got I think a monthly fee. But there is a free version of Volanta. Arco says he would love to see a high fidelity 737-200. That would be really nice, wouldn't it? Got old school cigar engines. I hope so, Jan. Otherwise there'd be uproar. I would imagine so. I would imagine so. From what I understand, Bulksu, we were speaking about that actually yesterday. The folks that deal with the IAE engine data in the sim for Phoenix, they are based in Ukraine, and because of the invasion from Russia, or invasion by Russia, I should say, of the Ukraine, it means that it's slowed down that element of development, and likewise for a lot of developers, there seems to be quite a big Ukrainian division of various developers that are part of the community that all help different developers create stuff. Pyre Devco, for example, is Ukrainian. He lives in Ukraine, so that's delayed some of his scenery work. Joshua, no, they said so. Josh is asking, is the 737-900 supposed to be out now? So PMDG said it's also in the pinned messages as well at the top of your screen of the live chat. I hope if it's still there. They say that we're planning to release her sometime after 1800 Zulu on the 7th of Feb, being today and now. So it's 1806 Zulu. Some point in the very, very near future, we can expect the 737-900 to be released. But it's not yet out. I am frantically, whilst I have the opportunity to do so, because I'm now thinking about approach, I am refreshing that PMDG website, as I'm sure some of you guys are as well. Got a couple of decel points coming up. 16,000 feet. It's probably a good time to check the cabins depressurizing. Get it is, look, depressurizing nice and normally, nice and slowly. Not too slowly though. Look at the that fiery orange sky. It's wonderful. Really nice. Sky Dolly's ready to get that replay. Samuel, sorry buddy, yes, so apparently it's available on the free version of Volanta, but the specific blue is actually a custom stream overlay that I've created with different colours and things, and that's only available in the premium version of Volanta. People mashing the F5 key frantically. Quickly sort my seat out. Got the next level racing Boeing seat, and it is awesome. But I have to actually slide back and forth in the seat to give myself the space to get around the yoke as I'm getting in and out the stepping in and out the flight deck, if you like. What are we now? We're 35 miles roughly, so let's make an initial inbound call, just in case anyone else is flying around, trying to be nice and good on VATSIM. Alicante traffic, KLM 49 Mike is Boeing 737-900, flight level 130 for 4,000 feet inbound on the Valencia 3 Lima arrival, expecting ILS 10 Zulu approach at Alicante, currently 3.5 track miles from final. We'll report to Vilna. Alicante traffic. So I've just told everybody in about 40 odd mile radius where we are, how high we are, and what we intend to do. As we've spoke about a lot on our VATSIM tutorial videos, the series that I've created, it's all about helping people understand what your intentions are in relation to your position, because it helps then decide what to do as well, and therefore then it creates a much better Unicom environment. We're about 10 minutes to landing now, folks. The 737-900 in Microsoft Flight Simulator. We're in the release time window as well on release day, 7th of February. Sometime after 1800 Zulu, they're hitting the go live button on the release of the product, and that was 10 minutes ago. So we are now frantically waiting for that release, that moment of release. And the final of the 737NG series, before they start to look at the 777 and the 737 MAX and the PMDG 747 as well. Let's flick the ILS across, so 1103, 1103. It's Volanta overlay, Samuel. It's actually part of Volanta inside the settings. 4,200, 197, speed's going to be reduced. Let's put that collar back on. 100 and 100 are set. We've checked the cabin pressure. Signs are on. 1,000 to go, below 10,000. We'll put the lights on. And it's actually picking up the ILS already. So India Alpha Tango is the 3-letter code. So that's correct. That matches. Course of 100, 26 DME. Haven't even had to step into the into this yet to try and take over the VNAV. It's handling it beautifully. And Alicante is over there somewhere. Could even be it there. I think it might be actually. Got range ringing again. Evening, Ashley. Welcome. Ooh, now that would be fun, wouldn't it? Hello, Robert Randazzo, if you're watching. It's RSR of PMDG fame. I love that theory. Ashley there saying, good evening to you, saying, I wonder if RSR is in the chat watching the stream and will release it after touchdown. My God, if he is, this touchdown better be good. Hopefully you guys are all enjoying it nevertheless. Thank you very much to those of you choosing to tune in wherever you are in the world. We've had folks as always as far-flung as Australia, New Zealand, in America tuning in as well. It's great to have you on board. Alberto, our resident member, channel member in Chile. And just in case I forget as well, really appreciate earlier on Brian, a little super chat there, very generous super chat from you earlier on too. Appreciate all the support, folks. And if you find my flight on Volanta today, you'll see the screenshots we've uploaded from our flight departing Amsterdam a couple of hours ago. Go flap 2. Alicante traffic, KLM 49 Mike is inbound at Vilna, 20 TME arc for the ILS. Runway 10 will report established. Alicante traffic. Oh, Roy, absolutely. It's beautiful, isn't it? Flappy, when it releases. Let's turn that light out. Let's go silent from the music. Maestro DJ. Yeah, runway 10, Sam. And now it's up to you guys to tell me if it releases in time. Let's see, we'll do 200 knots and we'll go to an extension of flaps to flap 5. Around nighttime arrival. Bravo 20, Roy. There's Alicante, right at the edge of the wing. It's the runway. Spoilers, arms. Quick check at the bottom. Might pop that on a little bit just to help as a reference. ILSs are both good and active. 1228, that's fine. Flaps are set. Flap 5 currently. That's somebody saying they're taxiing to the runway, so we've got to bear that in mind now. Joey Goofy, thank you buddy. And wait until final. Remind me as we establish. Go vertical speed mode. Go 1500 foot per minute now. We go heading select because I want to manually intercept the ILS. So flaps 5 has actually improved or increased the drag on the airframe as well, which is going to help us keep that speed tickled down. Below transition now. QNH 1020 has meant we've gained actually 200 feet, but 200 feet higher than we believe. If you have a low QNH and you're going from standard pressure to low QNH, high to low, down you go. You're actually lower than you think you are. There's a rule of thumb there for those of you kind of learning QNHs and things. We'll continue down to 85. Let's do 180 degrees, 180 knots. Flap 10. There's the runway. QNH aviation, so it has everybody fly to the same altitudes in flight levels. So in cruise, and have that separation of aircraft that keeps everybody nice and safely separated all the way across the world, no matter where you're from. Just having a nice international standard. QNH is actually pressure above sea level, and depending on the weather and the pressure and the density of the air, that can be different. Okay, 180, 130, go for a 30 degree intercept, so 130, 4,200, below the glide slope, 180 knots, courses are all both set, we're levelling off at 4.2, approach mode armed. Glide slopes armed, VOR lock modes are armed, speed brakes armed. We're going to go to the checklists. Well, you know what I forgot? Landing lights. My goodness. Let's pop the ignitions onto continuous. One more check. Master cautions. And 17 miles. Indeed, aviation. ILS 10 Zulu. Established. Alicante traffic, KLM 49 Mike is established. ILS runway 10, 16 miles. Alicante traffic. So we'll maintain roughly general rule of thumb 180 until about 10, 160 until 4. Big thing in here now, 151, there we go, flap 30, 151. 156 knots approach speed for us folks. You take that into account, you think...
Traffic easy 39 Echo Delta, take it off 10.
You think about the A320, and that lands almost 20 or so knots slower than this. That's incredibly... That's a huge difference in speed, isn't it, when you think about it? Two aircraft, similarly sized, but that one can fly even slower. So it means that this is a very interesting dynamic to fly an aeroplane like a 737, and it makes it immensely fun. I can see his nav lights now. He's just called up saying he's taking off. CMD A and B are both engaged. 12 miles on the glide. So let's go. Replay is active now, folks. Gear down. Flap 15. Sky Dolly's recording. We're going to try and get that high-speed exit at Charlie 4. Let's bring the speed down 160 till 4 DME. Missed approach is at 4,000 feet, so let's get that set as well, and we'll make sure we've got runway heading set. So we've got 100, 100, 100, 4,000 for the missed approach, 160 till 4. We're going to go now at 10 miles, speed's coming down nicely, we'll go flap 25. What's your touchdown rating predictions, folks? Pop them in the live chats, let us know what you think that we're going to do for touchdown. If you want, actually, what we could do is a replay like this as well. The only caveat to replays with Sky Dolly is it doesn't always, most of the time doesn't I should say, record the state of the throttles and the flaps and the spoilers and things. Good point, Avsim. It's a downhill slope. So our touchdown rating is actually going to be slightly higher than it otherwise would be ordinarily because we're also descending with the runway, which is on a slight decline. It's a good point, well made. Flap 30. Having a quick check of the winds, and slightly variable. It's 041 degrees actually, so it's coming in from the left to the right. It's pushing us away from the runway to the right, so it's actually pushing us that way ever so slightly, probably about 8 knots. Get down 3 green and locked, flap 30 in green. Let's go to 156. There's only 4 knots difference there. Alicante traffic, KLM 49 Mike is 5 mile final, 10.
Roger that.
Vipers Racing, welcome. Fritz, thank you buddy. There's the control inputs, bottom left of your screen. We're 1,900 feet, but should we do it? Maximum concentration time, folks.
The Kellerman's on final. How much miles out you are?
4 mile final, ILS 10 for KLM 49 Mike Alicante. Water thrust off. Autopilot off. See the aircraft's nav lights there, somebody on almost at the hold point, so we are keeping an eye on them. We've planned for the go around just in case. Look at that variable wind there as well on the nav display. Little tip, pitch for speed.
Ryanair 755 is holding short at run
the rate of descent. So just by dropping the throttle a little bit, what it's done is it's allowed the aeroplane to sink a little bit more. It's increased that rate of descent. We've kept the pitch the same. It's a little bit bumpy for us, all good fun. We're keeping an eye on the ILS diamonds for the time being. When we get a bit closer, I'm going to throw my vision to the threshold, try and fly a visual approach, but at night time it's very difficult to gauge your depth here, and I've got to remember, can't flare too much because we will tail strike the jet. My goodness, that speed's changed massively all of a sudden.
And Alicante traffic, Iberia 203.
Coming up to minimums.
The cockpit for
I'm just looking at the end of the threshold initially before throwing my vision to the end for depth perception now.
Sync rate.
It's fine, we'll continue. Just choppy winds.
50, 40, 20, 10.
Holding that position and that picture. Reverse green. Trying to maintain that centre line. Firmland to 273. I'll take it. I'll take it. Decelerating nicely. 109 knots. We're not going to make Charlie 4. We're too fast for it. Still 100 knots. Click that to reverse idle as we vacate Charlie 5. Over the stop line.
MSFS 5 is at holding shot.
And Alicante traffic, KLM 49 Mike has vacated Charlie 5. Thanks for waiting.
No problem, MSFS 5 is taken up runway 24. And I'm Samuel George, who was on your live stream.
Have a good flight.
Thank you.
Bring those flaps up.
Welkom. Blijft alsjeblieft nog even zitten. Zodra het bordje storing vast uit is, kunt u de bagagebakken openen en uw bagage pakken.
That's all good. Flaps
Open
are up.
de bagagebakken alsjeblieft voorzichtig, zodat verschoven handbagage er niet uit kan vallen.
Retracted. There goes the Ryanair that's patiently waiting for us on departure. Off he goes. Have a good flight.
Hartelijk dank dat u voor de KLM
And we were going
heeft
to
gekozen. We zien u heel graag snel weer bij ons aan
39,
boord.
weren't we?
Wensen u een goed verblijf of een prettig vervolg van de reis. Welcome to, ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. As soon as the fasten seatbelt
Alicante
sign
traffic,
is switched off,
KLM 49 Mike
you
is
may collect your
vacated
belongings
onto
from the
Charlie,
luggage bins.
taxiing to
And please
stand
take care when
39
opening the
by
luggage bins
Charlie
so that any hand luggage
and
that
Delta.
may have shifted
Alicante traffic.
does not fall out. You may now switch on your telephone and other devices.
Gate
On behalf
39.
of the crew,
Lovely.
thank you
It's like we
for
planned
flying
it.
with KLM, and we hope to welcome
Should we
you
get a
on
follow
board
me
again
car,
soon,
folks?
and wish you a pleasant stay.
Let's see what
Or a
happens.
pleasant continuation of your journey.
Ah, handling by Ryanair. It's like they saw my touchdown. Got it. Let's get the control visualizer off. So that's all looking good. APU's fine. Let's pop those on. The announcements, that's the Luke Air tool for those of you just tuning in wondering how we got those snazzy announcements. There's the 737-900 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. We're in that release window now, folks, so 1800 Zulu, 7th of February, sometime after was the words used by Robert Randazzo, so no idea when today, this evening, at some point it's going to be released, but it's very, very soon. Is that somebody at my stand? I think that's somebody at stand 41, hopefully. Find out when we get there. Here's Max Verstappen, the follow me car. Might as well see us in, celebrate today. All wheels up, good question, I don't know the answer to that, buddy. Pop traffic mode off. I gain too much on this.
Thank you for your support.
Luke Airtool, thank you, buddy. Thanks for all of the progress as well on what is an amazing freeware tool for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And if you're scratching your head thinking, where shall I fly the 737-900 tonight? How about Alicante with this amazing freeware scenery by Hergy1234 and FlightSim.to back to Amsterdam? Or you could fly Alicante to Istanbul, Turkish Airlines. Lawrence, it's a bit longer. You've got to bear in mind the increased risk of tail strikes. You've got the ER variant, which can fly a little bit further as well. Yeah, there's a few differences, but bear in mind it's part of the NG family. They're all very similar in themselves. Dan Boza, the Amsterdam scenery is great. Providing you have Premium Deluxe, you can download the Amsterdam enhancement mods from FlightSim.to. Alicante to Stansted's a good idea as well. That's a nice one. The problem is there with that is the freeware scenery is not great for Stansted, sadly. Or anywhere you want with Osprey Airways, Fritz. Absolutely. Got a suicidal truck driver. Just going to have to go through him. Random GSX clutter. Boeing, me too. Fly Tampa's Amsterdam. Hopefully that's coming soon. Manchester to Oslo, Brian. Beautiful idea. My goodness. The water fairies. They're late maybe giving us the little water archway to see us in. No, Lawrence, no problem. No problem. It's the MSFS brake issue that we keep getting in all our aeroplanes. Has he gone? Has he got himself lost? Nope. Hopefully Stansted, Ellis. Peter, no. Hopefully not. Yeah, PMDG, fantastic team. They've been really, really generous. I appreciate them giving me the opportunity to give you guys this release day preview, along with a few other streamers as well. And yeah, gives us the opportunity to sort of show it to you guys before you think about parting your cash, so you can see how fantastic the jet is. My God, they actually did, whoever this is, park on my stand. So, refresh this, change facility. Okay, 41, 43.
The KLM, look behind you.
Hey, what's that? There's lights. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Now I'm back to work tomorrow, sadly, aviation. But if I get some good good images of, it is a Max, yes. Great spot. Yeah, there's the APU tail. 41. We'll go for flat. We'll go for number gate 43. Yeah, good idea actually there for a screenshot. Let's get the taxi lights off now as we start to turn in. Happens all the time, Lawrence. The freeway Alicante that we're arriving into here, folks, I've put the link to it in the description for the live stream as well, so if you want to download it for your own sim experience, you can do. Here we go. Definitely feels a little bit heavier, a little bit longer, a bit clunkier. And flying this, I've got this inane fear, this just wild fear of tail striking it. So I'm very, very conscious of rotate and flare. This is the first flight we've done on it, but my goodness, I was really paranoid we were going to get a tail strike on departure out of Amsterdam, and then that flare just then on touchdown. No idea what it looks like. We'll have a look on replay in a moment. Very, very paranoid that I was going to get that wrong. I'll do 0.2. Our brakes are good. So let's leave the engines on because we want to now. Hey, there's the Ryanair. And that's the 800. So look at the size difference. That's a good comparison, actually. Much longer, my goodness. And then we look at the Max that was over here. And the Max actually looks a bit chunkier, doesn't it? A little bit wider.
You're right, okay. I'm parked next to you so you can see the aircraft at different heights.
It's a great idea, thank you. Clunky, chunky, chonky. Right, let's change the weather. We'll wind the time back to around about now, actually. That's going to be quite nice. And then we can pause Sky Dolly. We need to go to the drone camera mode, and we need to turn off drone follow because look at that, freeware is fantastic. Love Hergy's work, it's great. we want to spot our touchdown, don't we? So we need to whistle off to the end of the runway over here. Threshold of runway 10. Rams on final at Inverness. Hopefully the 737-900 is on final as well. I think I flared for a little bit longer than I would have anticipated. So I think, where's the edge of the touchdown zone? It's around about there. I think this is probably a good spot. To make sure I don't interfere, those of you who are on the ground at Alicante, I'm going to disappear, but I'm still here and I can still see you guys, so hang on if you're waiting.
Alicante traffic, Ryanair 5522 on 5 mile final for runway 10, Alicante.
So we'll watch his landing and then I'll wait for him. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to go to observer mode. Because then we disappear, so we're not going to impact anyone else, like the chap who's on final. We're not going to suddenly appear on final approach or anything like that for him. 5 mile, so he's about 2 minutes out, isn't it? Dan, yeah, not released yet. We're all refreshing the page. Yeah, not yet available just yet. GSX Lassie. Here comes the Ryanair 737-800. Now I guess this is going to be quite an interesting comparison actually in itself. So we can analyse his, whoever this chap is in the Ryanair 737-800, we can have a little look at their rotation on the flare, their flare, and then from that we'll replay my attempt at landing, and we'll have a look at the difference between the 737-800 and the 900 in the flare with the way it all works. So in a way, size comparison we've just done at the gate, that was a really helpful comparison to look at the difference between the two jets. But now we're going to look at two touchdowns, one after the next, with this drone camera to see how different it looks here too. I'll just quickly put the last screenshot onto Volanta as well before I end the flight on Volanta. Our first trip in the 737-900. First trip of many, I should say. Oh, it's the Boeing special Ryanair livery. Oh, it's a big old floaty. Look at that. So only a few degrees to play with there. So, I think my touchdown was pretty much around the same zone. Let's rewind us. For that, I need to go into the flight deck. It's going to get really weird and jacky. There's going to be a whole lot of warnings and stuff kicking off here. So do bear that in mind. And as we mentioned as well, it doesn't recognise SkyDolly, unfortunately, a lot of these configurations, so we have to turn them all back on. It is down as well, thank goodness for that. Here we go. See our lights in the distance, it's touchdown replay time. We've not done this for a long time either. I can't remember the last time we flew a replay on touchdown. But hey, better late than never. So it's 273 foot per minute, 0.94 G at 154 knots on touchdown, and it was 039 degrees at 12 knots for the touchdown winds from the statistics from landing rate monitor. So it was that variable weather, that variable wind that was making it quite choppy for us. Ellis, no, not doing the return. I'm actually up for work in 5.5 hours. I basically ran this stream this evening around this penciled in rough release after 6 Zulu time, so we can kind of celebrate the release and get really excited for it. And I wanted to show you guys the jet on this channel and share my thoughts with you guys as well. We still don't know what the final price is going to be. We don't know exactly the time it's going to release. But my goodness, it's good fun. But what PMDG have created in the 600, the 700, the 800, and now the 900, 900ER is an incredibly good, complex simulation of the 737NG series from Boeing inside Microsoft Flight Simulator, and they've done a really good job of it. It's goodness knows how many hours we've done in the 737 since its release, but I've grown very fond of it. And the 900 for this flight, impeccable. I mean, you guys saw how fantastic the VNAV was as well, and that's across the whole product line, from the 600 through to the 900.
Traffic runner for Huddle Golf, establish on iOS, headed 10.
There's a KLM inbound. There's a few flying in. So I think this is, was it Andy that's flying in behind us? We've got Osprey 88 coming in actually. Hey, look at that. Richard, welcome, buddy. Hey, y'all, can't wait to pick up the 900. I saw Flubberwaz video on the A380X. Holy moly, is probably the way I'd describe it as well without expletives. But yeah, my goodness. Here we go, my first ever landing here of the 737-900 in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Amsterdam to Alicante. Holding that flare. Oh, look at that. I'll take it. That looked really nice. I'm dead chuffed with that. And Sky Dolly's even deflected the spoilers. How mega does that look? Yeah, still not available at the moment. We're still waiting on PMDG to tickle that big red button. So he can't see us. We're on observer mode on VATSIM, just as a reminder. So we're staying silent. We're not transmitting anything. He doesn't know we're actually mucking around on the runway. Gotta quickly, because I've restarted this. Oh. He's either on a different scenery or he's just crashed. Okay, we don't need to watch that.
Iberia 2031, Alicante traffic, lining up runway 10.
Good old Sky Dolly. At least we can't hear it here. What shall we go for a view? There we go. What about that one for our touchdown view?
Alicante traffic runner for Hotel Golf, runway 10 back 8.
Should we go for... Yes, that one. So another landing. Yeah, we're going to treat ourselves. So you guys can see what it looks like from the back as well. Is it faster than the Fenix, Samuel's asking? Yeah, probably about 15 knots faster on approach. My god, look how realistic that looks. That reminds me, actually, Almeria Airport is being worked on by a scenery developer. I think is it TDM Scenery Design. They're working on that, hoping to release that very soon. That's really exciting. It's going to be really good. It's where the region where my dad lives. So I've flown into Almeria quite a lot in the past, and it's got this really unique approach where you're flying over loads of plastic sheet covered greenhouses, all white greenhouses. It's incredible. And they're actually building that into the scenery, which is nice. Ellis hoping for Murcia. Yeah, no Malaga payway yet still. Ram, awesome. Yeah, so I think TDM Scenery Design is working on Almeria. That's that weather. Bumpy, bumpy. Fighting the controls there we were. My God, it actually looks real. Juliet, Charlie, Mike, yeah, it's a great way to compare the two. It's like the Boeing 737 version of an A321. Yeah, the flickery shadow, good old Microsoft Flight Simulator reminding you that it's a simulator. Should be over the threshold now any second. My God, I forgot how much I've missed this view in real life. There we go. Throttle to idle. Touchdown.
Alicante traffic, Tomjet 970, I'm pushing back to 9 range.
There goes the spoilers. And reverse.
Alicante traffic, Iberia 2031, taking off runway 10, Alicante traffic.
We might as well stick with this view all the way to the gate, right? Part A. And then we'll see that guy's takeoff as well. That's the problem for it, yeah. So my system doesn't quite allow for that. God, look at the reflection of the terminal. It's incredible. It won't remember things like lights, so once we've watched this guy's departure, I'll flick back into the flight deck briefly, turn all the lights, flick the switches of the lights, and then we'll go from there. Not yet, Fritz, yeah. Be a long way off yet. Maybe summertime. Hopefully I can afford a new rig. CT saying, explain your line of sight when flaring. In fact, if you want, I can demonstrate it using the Sky Dolly to replay. So we'll come into land. There goes the Iberia. God, he was higher than I expected. Let's go into the flight deck then, just briefly. This poor aircraft. Replay, 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 replay. Oh, where we go, where we go. So, pause. That is the view. So flaring and just holding that attitude. So I'm not going to chase the flare. I'm going to hold that pitch. It's only a few degrees up. Look, 2.5 degrees. I'm just looking at the end of the runway for depth perception, but I'm holding that picture, just freezing that. So I don't want the horizon to move at all. Just want to hold that picture, and we just keep holding until we touch down. We let the aeroplane settle, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Lights, taxi. Like the weirdest things where it's turned the anti-collision lights off and put the APU bleed back on and the engine bleeds off, which is why we're getting all sorts of announcements and warnings and alerts and all sorts of stuff going on. Sky Dolly really doesn't like it. Like, we touched it again. Was it? Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Scam Sam, it's Sky Dolly. Oh yeah, and that's a question it's kind of tough to answer. The Aerosoft Twin Otter's a great bit of fun, but it depends what you want out of your own sim experience again. If you have got lots of freeware scenery and some payware as well, then absolutely. I would go along the line of getting the Twin Otter. It gives you something extra in your hangar to enjoy, and it is a really good bit of fun. Great to try and learn as well. Ron says maybe PMDG is willing to sponsor you to get a new rig. It would be nice. I would never expect something like that. And don't forget, a new rig now, you're looking at £3,500. That's a lot for a company to push out. Even computer companies. To sponsor a streamer, they might get one sale out of it if they sponsored a rig, for example. I don't know, Overclockers UK. It's difficult to kind of ask them to do that because logically, financially, it doesn't add up. So yeah, I'd never expect anything like that. I will say again, though, really grateful of PMDG for offering me the opportunity to have this preview streamer version for today to show you guys moments before it releases. For a really nice flight from Amsterdam into Alicante. There is an Osprey Airways livery being worked on for the 900 and the 900 ER coming soon. Fritz, buddy, have a great day. Welcome to all our new subscribers. We're invisible to him, so he can't see us. But we'll end up going through him because we're replaying what we did earlier on. Keep refreshing that PMDG website, folks. I'm doing one more refresh, it's still not out yet. pmdg.com/MSFS. You'll find it's the release there. Grab the 737 QRH somewhere online as well, give it a little Google. And if you are learning the jet for the first time, then head to flightsim.to, search for the 737 checklists, and you'll find the one that I've put on there for you guys to download. It's the same for all of the different variants. Enjoy. Hopefully you guys find it all really useful. If you want to get your hands on the scenery today as well, it's linked in the description below, and a few other bits like the Luke Air Tour where we enjoyed those cabin announcements. As Joey Goofy says, yeah, everyone closed your eyes for a second a few moments ago. We still don't know how much the price is going to be. We've been told it's going to be expected in the ballpark between the 737-600 and the price of the 700-800 variants. There's a bit of a gap between the two. There's a nice spread, so it's really difficult to predict what the price of it is actually going to be. I'm going to put all our screenshots for today into our Discord server. I'll pick a few and I'll put them on Instagram as well, and we'll be monitoring and partying, celebrating that release over on Discord post stream. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the week ahead. Let us know where you're flying, what you're flying, how you're flying it, and also what your thoughts are if you're going to purchase the 737-900. Let us know over on Discord or in the comments below if you're watching this on demand. Your thoughts of the 737-900 or the 900ER from PMDG when it does arrive. But here we go. Welcome to Alicante. Enjoy your stay. Don't lose too many wheelchairs in Benidorm, or too many bingo cards in Benidorm, I should probably say. Hit subscribe if you've not done so already. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream as well. If you've forgotten to give us a little thumbs up. Thank you to everybody who's done so already as well. 198 likes, really appreciate that. But in the meantime, as always, keep your eye on the channel for our next live streams coming up Sunday afternoon after night shift. Expect mistakes. I'm going to be really tired after a little sleep. We might do the return back from Alicante to Amsterdam, or we might head to Seattle to fly an Alaska Airlines route instead. Who knows? Stay tuned, you'll find out. Thanks for watching, thanks for flying along, and have a great week. And thank you again to PMDG for what I think is the completion of a fantastic 737 NG series for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Have a great night. Thanks for watching. Take care.